Chapter 440. Chapter 440. Xiao Xiao's weird behavior. The students returned to their classrooms after planting the trees. They didn't need much supervision from the teachers. After all, if they wanted to learn, they'd learn, and if they didn't, like Zhou Ruoming, there was no point in forcing them. Meng Yao and Yushu went back to the classroom and looked at their MP4 for a while before taking out their revision materials. The bridge of college entrance exams wouldn't get wider just because they were pretty and the two didn't want to rely on their families. They wanted to get good grades on their own. Tang Yun and Lin Yi finished planting the tree, and Tang Yun went back to her classroom to study. She'd been busy with her father's surgery and her relationship with Lin Yi recently, so she didn't put much effort into her studies. If she didn't work hard, her grades would drop. As much as Tang Yun wanted to spend more time with Lin Yi, what if she couldn't get into college? After lunch, Tang Yun and Lin Yi went to the food street behind the school to see Mrs. Tang before going back to their respective classrooms. Xiao Xiao sat in her seat, eating her lunch. She was alone, and there was no one around. Lin Yi walked over, and Xiao Xiao only raised her head to look at him before going back to eating. This restaurant's lunch isn't clean. I ate it before, and there was a fly in it. Lin Yi said with a smile as he looked at the logo on Xiao Xiao's lunch. Xiao Xiao spat out the rib she just put in her mouth before glaring at Lin Yi. Did you do that on purpose? Huh. I was just reminding you. Lin Yi shrugged. Sitting at the same table with Xiao Xiao made Lin Yi feel uneasy. He had to think of a way to get rid of her. Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi hatefully. Fine, you asked for it. She thought that blowing up was a bit too much, but since you're so evil, she makes sure to make a fool out of you tonight. Oomph. Pin Liang sent a text to Xiao Xiao, informing her that he could move on to the next step of his plan when it was time for the night self-study session. Xiao Xiao wasn't worried that Lin Yi wouldn't come out to watch the show. Since Yushu and Meng Yao were going out, there was no way that Lin Yi, a bodyguard and follower, wouldn't stay out. As expected, Yushu received Pin Liang's message as well. Yao Yao, let's go get some fresh air. It's so boring in the classroom. Now, Meng Yao frowned. She just started on a set of math simulations, and Yushu was already leaving before she could even finish the first question. Yeah, I heard someone was setting off fireworks in the field. Let's go check it out. Yushu said, Fireworks? It can't be that Zhong Pingliang guy, right? Meng Yao wasn't stupid. She guessed what was going on immediately. Heh. Yeah, Yao Yao, are you coming? Yushu didn't hide the fact that Meng Yao had guessed it. No. Meng Yao shook her head. I can't go myself if you don't want to, can I? It's already dark outside, and it's scary. What if I get scared? Yushu said as she grabbed Meng Yao, wanting to drag her out by force. You can get scared? Meng Yao didn't believe it. You killed all the ghosts in the theme park. But Yushu insisted, and Meng Yao had no choice but to stand up and go with her. Pin Liang's going to set off fireworks to confess to Meng Yao. Aren't you going to go check it out? Xiao Xiao explained, seeing that Lin Yi wasn't planning on getting up. Fireworks? Lin Yi thought that the two girls were going to the washroom, so he didn't pay much attention. But now that Xiao Xiao said this, he really had to go check it out. As for Xiao Xiao knowing about this beforehand, Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all. She hung out with Pin Liang all the time, so of course she knew about his plans. But Lin Yi was a little puzzled. Why would Xiao Xiao be so kind as to warn him? Did she have some other purpose? Lin Yi stepped out of the classroom, and Xiao Xiao followed right behind him. Lin Yi felt someone following him, and when he turned the corner, he saw Xiao Xiao's silhouette through the glass of the staircase. She really did follow him. Lin Yi smiled faintly. Xiao Xiao probably wouldn't let what happened yesterday go that easily. She'd been silent all this time, waiting for the right moment to explode. The forest behind the school was already filled with students who'd gotten the news. There were students from first grade to third grade, and even some middle school students who'd been out of school were attracted here. It seemed like the news of Pin Liang's fireworks had gotten out a long time ago, and it had already attracted this much attention. Pin Liang and Xiaofu stood beside a tree filled with fireworks and notes. Pin Liang hated Yushu as much as he wanted to, since his butt was still swollen from Yushu's poke. Yushu had almost destroyed his butt, and it was still swollen up. How could a needle for a tree be poked into a person's body? Pin Liang, on the other hand, had no choice but to maintain a smile on his face. He needed Yushu's help to invite Meng Yao to the Nightless Club's courtship party. Liang bro, Meng Yao and Yushu are here, and Lin Yi isn't far behind them. Xiaofu whispered to Pin Liang. I saw them. Go get Meng Yao and Yushu, and tell Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao to come in as well. I've already told Xiao Xiao what to do later. Just wait for Lin Yi to get into trouble. Pin Liang said quietly. Okay, Liang bro. Xiaofu nodded and made a path for the students. Move aside, everyone. Let today's female lead in. Xiaofu's words were very useful to normal students in school. Meng Yao, Yushu, Liang bro's ready. We're just waiting for you. Xiaofu made a gesture. We'll just watch from here, but we're going. Meng Yao didn't want to get close. She wasn't interested in this nightless fireworks party at all. Yao Yao, let's go, we can't see it from here. Yushu pulled Meng Yao over, not letting her say anything. I still want to keep giving Pin Liang the 4. Meng Yao had no choice but to let Yushu pull her over. She knew her best friend's personality, too. She just liked watching the fun, not helping Pin Liang. Lin Yi followed from afar, and Xiao Xiao followed as well. But this time, Xiao Xiao passed Lin Yi and went to help Pin Liang. Chapter 441. Chapter 441. Unlucky Xiao Xiao, tonight's female lead, school beauty Miss Meng Yao, has arrived. Let's invite our male lead to light up the fireworks of his love for her. Gao Xiaofu had gotten his hands on a megaphone that street vendors used to sell vegetables. He held it up like an MC and shouted. Meng Yao frowned. This was what annoyed her the most. Pin Liang would always come up with all sorts of weird ideas, like writing blood letters and whatnot. Meng Yao was speechless. How could this guy be even more stupid than Shu? Plus, he was the real one, and Shu was the fake one. Xiao Xiao acted like she didn't care when she walked past Lin Yi, picking up a string of firecrackers on the ground and sticking it into Lin Yi's pants. She didn't stop and went off to do something else. Huh? Lin Yi smiled faintly. So this was what this girl was planning. She wanted to blow him up with firecrackers? Was she thinking too much? But Lin Yi didn't expose her immediately. He pretended like he didn't see anything, his eyes still on Meng Yao and Yushu. Xiao Xiao's heart was pounding as well. Lin Yi wasn't a normal person, after all. What if he found out? There were a lot of people in the field, and it was noisy, but Lin Yi's awareness wasn't low either. But Xiao Xiao didn't see any reaction from Lin Yi after hanging the firecracker on his butt. She breathed out in relief, thinking that Lin Yi was probably focused on Meng Yao and Yushu, ignoring everything else around him. Pin Liang was about to light up the fireworks on the tree when Xiao Xiao sneakily hid behind Lin Yi with a lighter. She'd light up the firecracker on Lin Yi's body as Pin Liang lit up the fireworks. That way, it'd make it look like Pin Liang's fireworks were too intense, and half of the firecracker was blown over. If Lin Yi wanted to blame someone, he'd only have himself to blame for being in the wrong place. Whoosh! Pin Liang lit up the fireworks, one that he'd ordered from the factory as well. It would form the words Yao Yao, I love you in the air. It looked simple, but he'd spent a lot of money on it. At the same time, Xiao Xiao lit up the firecracker on Lin Yi's butt, gleefully turning around to hide. Lin Yi smiled faintly as he quickly removed the firecracker from his body and hung it on Xiao Xiao's butt, tying a dead knot. But the tragic thing was that Xiao Xiao was so focused on running that she didn't even realize that Lin Yi had hung the firecracker on her butt. After a few steps, she realized that she was dragging something behind her, hitting her leg. She turned around, confused, and screamed. Xiao Xiao was going crazy. Wasn't the firecracker on Lin Yi? Why was it on her? She raised her head to look at Lin Yi, only to see Lin Yi nodding at her with an evil smile on his face. Xiao Xiao wanted to remove the firecracker on her back, but she realized that Lin Yi had tied a dead knot that she couldn't untie at all. The fuse was about to burn out, and Xiao Xiao was starting to panic. She couldn't just take off her pants in front of the whole school, could she? That'd be so embarrassing. Just as Xiao Xiao was hesitating, the fuse burned out, and the firecracker started exploding. Xiao Xiao was scared out of her wits as she ran over to Pin Liang, yelling, Help! Water! Do you have water? Pin Liang was feeling proud of his work, preparing to shock everyone with the words, "Yao Yao, I love you," in the sky when he heard Xiao Xiao's cry for help. Why? Pin Liang's eyes went wide as he stared at the firecracker exploding behind Xiao Xiao's. But wasn't she the one hanging on Linny? How did it end up on her body? Xiao Xiao had even given him a signal to tell him to follow the plan after she'd hung up the firecracker. Why did the firecracker switch positions all of a sudden? Lil says Xiao Xiao you. Pin Liang looked at Xiao Xiao, confused. Don't talk so much. Give me some water to put out the firecrackers. Xiao Xiao was panicking. She didn't have the time to explain to Pin Liang. The firecrackers were already up to her pants, and they were about to reach her, but water. Water. Pin Liang looked around, but there was no water around here. He had to get a few buckets of water when he planted the trees, but they were all poured into the soil. The firecrackers were already on Xiao Xiao's, but as Pin Liang was hesitating, burning a couple holes in her, but Xiao Xiao was on the verge of crying, and she couldn't care less about her image anymore as she rolled around on the ground, finally extinguishing the firecrackers. However, the fabric of her pants was already burnt beyond recognition, and it hurt. Xiao Xiao was sure that even her underwear was showing, and so she didn't even dare stand up. Her eyes were filled with grievance, and she wanted to cry, but she gritted her teeth and didn't cry. I'm Xiao Xiao, I can't cry. I don't need other people's pity. Crying is just a sign of weakness. Xiao Xiao took a deep breath and sat on the ground. Take off your shirt and give it to me. My shirt? Pin Liang blinked. Hurry up. Don't waste time. Xiao Xiao frowned. All right. Pin Liang couldn't afford to piss off Xiao Xiao, be it her background or herself. Pin Liang couldn't afford to offend her at all. Since Xiao Xiao had spoken, Pin Liang had no choice but to take off his shirt and give it to her. Xiao Xiao took Pin Liang's jacket and quickly wrapped it around her waist before walking out of the crowd. Heading for the school gates, Xiao Xiao didn't feel good at all. She wanted Lin Yi to embarrass himself. But now she was the one being humiliated. She didn't notice if the crowd was laughing at her, but she was sure that she was the laughing stock now. Getting her butt blown up by firecrackers, and she was a girl. This was as embarrassing as it could get. Lin Yi, I'm going to eat you up. Xiao Xiao was going crazy as she sat in her car, gritting her teeth and using the steering wheel as if it was Lin, smashing it violently before she finally calmed down. Chapter 442. Chapter 442. Remedy Pin Liang, naturally, didn't wear a lot of clothes in the summer. He only had a casual shirt on, and after giving it to Xiao Xiao, he was shirtless. It didn't seem to fit the image of him confessing to Meng Yao, and it made the surrounding students snicker. Pin Liang's face darkened as he raged. What are you laughing at? Have you never seen a man as strong as me? It was fine if Pin Liang didn't say anything, but the moment he did, the students started laughing. The law didn't punish the masses. These students were usually afraid of Pin Liang, but in the dark night, they couldn't tell who was laughing and who wasn't. Pin Liang couldn't do anything to them. Yao Yao, please let me use fireworks to express my love to you. Pin Liang raised his head, wanting to point at the fireworks in the sky to confess to Meng Yao, only to realize that the fireworks were almost done. Xiao Xiao had asked for his clothes at the same time, but everyone's attention was on Xiao Xiao, and no one noticed the words Yao Yao, I love you in the sky. Pin Liang's effort was wasted. The fireworks were gone. They were all gone. Pin Liang didn't know what to say after that. What could he say without the help of fireworks? Go see if there are any more fireworks. Pin Liang ordered Xiaofu, his face livid. Gao Xiaofu hurriedly ran to the Eskimo tree to check on the few fireworks, but it seemed that they had all been set off. There was nothing left to set off. Gao Xiaofu did not give up. He used a lighter to light up the fireworks. However, the sky was already dark, and he could not see clearly. He accidentally used a branch as a fuse, and with a whoosh, the Eskimo tree was set on fire. Pin Liang didn't know what was going on at first, thinking that Xiaofu was making fireworks again. But then he realized that something wasn't right. Why wasn't the fireworks shooting into the sky? Why was it burning on the tree? Liang bro, it's bad. I lit the tree on fire. Gao Xiaofu patted the fire a few times, but failed to extinguish it. He became anxious and shouted, "Brother Liang, come and help." Ha! Xiaofu's actions drew a round of laughter. Pin Liang's confession had turned into a farce. "Put out the fire. Get someone to get water." Pin Liang ran over with a dark face, looking at his Eskimo tree. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. "Oh, Yao Yao, I see the fire tree, but I don't see the silver flowers." Yushu cried out in surprise. "Shu, let's stay away from this kind of idiotic behavior. It's easy to cause a fire." Meng Yao was speechless at Pin Liang's actions, especially Xiao Xiao's. What was Xiao Xiao trying to do just now? "Wait, Yao Yao sis, I have to remind them." With that, Yushu called out to Pin Liang, "Break the bottle and use the water inside to put out the fire." "Oh, right. Pin Liang nodded quickly before instructing Xiaofu to carry out the task. Yushu giggled and left with Meng Yao. "Shu, you're getting worse and worse. How much is there in a bottle? How could it be used to extinguish a fire?" "You're a scammer," Meng Yao said. Who told him to believe it? Yao Yao sis wouldn't have been scammed. That means Pin Liang's a big idiot, Yushu said confidently. The next day, Xiao Xiao didn't come to school, and Lin Yi was happy to have some peace and quiet. He didn't know that Xiao Xiao was lying on the bed, cursing him. If curses could kill, Lin Yi would have died in all sorts of ways already. "Lin Yi, you bastard. I'm going to flush you down the toilet." Xiao Xiao didn't even dare go to the washroom. Her butt was burning with pain, and the firecrackers were all red and white. She'd applied Dr. Kang's Jin Chuang medicine, but it was good for external injuries. It wasn't very effective on burns like this. This Dr. Kang is clearly a scammer. It's useless, and he's selling it at such a high price. I'll blow his whole family up the next time I see him. Xiao Xiao thought hatefully. Pin Liang had a bitter look on his face as well. He'd put so much effort into planning the confession yesterday, but it had ended in a farce. It made him angry, but he couldn't vent it out. Xiao Xiao was the one who'd ruined it, and even if he wanted to complain, he didn't dare say anything. What the hell happened yesterday? Didn't they say they'd hang the firecrackers on Lin Yi's butt? How to turn into Xiao Xiao? Pin Liang was punished by Wang Jifeng. He was no longer the nephew of shareholder, but a normal student who paid for his own expenses. Who knows? I saw Xiao Xiao sneaking over to Lin Yi's side, but I didn't see what happened after. Xiaofu shook his head. What a waste of a good opportunity. Pin Liang wasn't happy. He clenched his fists and released them weakly. I'm about to graduate. I don't know if I still have a chance. Liang bro, I think you messed things up yesterday, but you've already expressed your feelings. Meng Yao should know what you're thinking, so the process isn't important. What matters is the result. Xiaofu analyzed. Why don't you ask Yushu and see if Meng Yao's interested? All right, that's the only way. Pin Liang nodded. After the first class, Pin Liang sent Yushu a text, asking her to meet him in front of the classroom. Liang, you're looking for me? Yushu went to meet him without hesitation. Pin Liang didn't have any feelings for her. He just wanted to ask about Meng Yao. Haha, yeah, Shu, I'm really sorry about yesterday. I messed things up. What did Meng Yao say? Pin Liang asked carefully. Yao Yao. She didn't say anything, but she seemed pretty disappointed. She didn't think it was fun, did she? Yushu blinked and hesitated. Man, I knew I'd disappoint her yesterday, but did she say anything to make up for it? Pin Liang asked. Well, I didn't ask. Oh, right. I want to eat the fried mushrooms from the night market. Yushu stretched. I'll go buy some mushrooms at noon. I'll ask around for you later, but I might forget. Wait, I'll go get that. It's just fried mushrooms, I'll go. Pin Liang hurriedly said, Shu, just help me ask if there's anything I can do to remedy this. All right then. Yushu nodded and went back to the classroom. Chapter 443. Chapter 443. Failure. Meng Yao noticed that Yushu was deep in thought during class. She didn't know what she was thinking about, so she asked, Shu, what on earth are you doing? What are you doing here and there? Yao Yao, I'm thinking if I have any wishes that I haven't fulfilled yet. Yushu felt that all of her wishes had been fulfilled, and there was nothing left for Pin Liang to do. Wishes? Don't you want to eat shark meat? Meng Yao didn't know what Yushu was up to, so she reminded her. Oh, yes, I want to eat shark meat. Yushu waved her hands excitedly at Ming Yao's reminder. I want Pin Yang to take me to eat shark meat. Pin Yang? Take you to eat shark meat? Ming Yao blinked. Yeah, he asked me just now if there was anything I could do to make you happier. Yushu said, don't go to him. If you want to eat shark meat, get Lin to catch it for you. Ming Yao didn't want anything to do with Pin Liang. Don't worry, Yao Yao. I'll be the one talking to Pin Yang. I won't drag you into this. Yushu was already used to this sort of thing. Whatever you want. Ming Yao didn't care anymore. Yushu had done this sort of thing way too many times in the past 3 years, and Ming Yao was already numb to it. But Ming Yao was a little doubtful. How could Pin Liang still trust Yushu after falling for it so many times? It was the last class of the morning, and Pin Liang decided to skip it altogether. He brought Xiaofu to the night market and bought 2 servings of fried mushrooms before returning to school. He finally managed to get the 2 servings in front of Yushu before the lunch break. Oh, I'll tell you after I'm done. It won't be crispy anymore when it gets cold. Yushu waved her hand, signaling for Pin Liang to leave. Pin Liang nodded and bowed as he returned to his seat. He and Xiaofu had bought some steam buns, and Pin Liang couldn't eat too much since he had something on his mind. When Yushu was done with the fried mushrooms, Pin Liang stood up abruptly and chased after Yushu. Yushu went to toss the mushroom lunchbox at Pin Liang, giggling to herself when she saw the impatient look on his face. It was actually such a foolish person. He hadn't had enough of being deceived, and he was in a hurry to be deceived. I say, Liangzi, can't you let me stop for a bit? You're following me around when I'm taking out the trash. Yushu pretended to be unhappy as she looked at Pin Liang. Hee, little Shu, I'm just anxious. I'll throw it for you. Pin Liang took the stuff from Yushu's hands. What did Yao Yao say? She said that what happened yesterday was okay, but she's been under a lot of pressure from school lately, and she wants to go out and have some fun. The summer camp is in May, and she wants to go out now. Yushu had already made up an excuse. Oh, going out to play? That's great. Pin Liang was on the verge of cheering. His dream was to go on a date with Ming Yao. What are you thinking? How could Sister Yao Yao go out alone with you? It's not like she's your girlfriend right now. Yushu rolled her eyes at Pin Liang. However, Pin Liang wasn't disappointed at all. Instead, he was excited. Yushu said that she wasn't his girlfriend right now, which meant that she might be in the future. Ming Yao still had feelings for him? Pin Liang was unusually happy at the thought. Shu, where do you think Ming Yao wants to go? How about the beach? Organize a spring outing and let all of our classmates go. Otherwise, Yao Yao sis won't go with you alone. Yushu said, Sure, no problem. It's just a spring outing, right? I'll organize it in a bit. With a goal in mind, Pin Liang nodded and went to help Yushu throw out the trash. Yushu hummed a song as she went back to class after taking care of Pin Liang. What surprised Dr. Kong and his family was that the trial had no effect at all. The entire family, including Dr. Kong, who'd taken the original pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, suffered from varying degrees of nausea and diarrhea, but there were no signs of detoxification at all. Other than diarrhea and sweat, there were no signs of detoxification at all. Miracle Dr. Kong forced his weak body to sit in his study. He had no choice but to call for an emergency family meeting to discuss this matter. Xiaolong, what's the problem? Why aren't we detoxifying? Dr. Kong was confused. Even if there was something wrong with the composition of the dog poop, he'd taken the original pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Kong Ming Ming had taken half of it, and there were obvious effects. He'd taken the other half, so why was he no different from someone who'd eaten dog poop? I don't know, Grandpa. Logically speaking, the ingredients are dog poop, and what you ate was the original pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. How could it not have any effect? Xiaolong said, feeling weak and dizzy. Could it be that it varies from person to person? Dr. Kong asked, confused. I don't think so, Grandpa. I didn't have any effects this time, either. Kong Ming Ming stood up, clutching his stomach. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to shit my pants. I need to go to the bathroom. With that, Kong Ming Ming ran out of the study with a bunch of smelly farts. But no one complained about his smelly farts, because everyone in the room was smelly today. Zhao Ming's right. He didn't have any effects either. Did something go wrong with our experiment? Dr. Kong nodded. Grandpa, I've thought of everything. but there's no way to explain it. Xiaolong shook his head. Could it be that what Xiaoming ate was different from what you ate? Different? Wasn't it the same pill that was split into two parts? Dr. Kong frowned. I'm just guessing, and I don't have any proof right now. But now that I think about it, our research direction was wrong. Xiaolong said. We were all blinded by excitement, thinking that the most impossible thing was the most possible. That dog poop was the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. But now that we think about it, is it really that simple? So you're saying that the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing isn't dog poop? Dr. Kong calmed down and thought about it. Xiaolong's words weren't unreasonable. Something as miraculous as the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was just dog poop? Wasn't it too simple? Yes, it's just a guess, but I have two bold theories. Xiaolong was the most educated member of the Kangs. After all, his analysis was clear and logical. Chapter 444. Chapter 444, Dr. Kang's plan. First, the pill that Kong Xiaobo gave us was indeed the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, but his branch has always been at odds with us, so he didn't want us to be too well off even if he gave us the pill. That's why he mixed dog poop into the pill. Xiaolong said, with Kong Xiaobo's age, he's quite capable of pulling a prank like this. So you're saying that Kong Xiaobo purposely mixed dog poop with the pill and sent it over? Dr. Kong thought about it. Xiaolong's analysis wasn't impossible, and Kong Xiaobo really could have done that, making him eat dog poop along with the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. That's a possibility. Xiaolong nodded. So the half that Xiaoming ate earlier might have been the pill's half, and the half you ate was dog poop. Dr. Kong regretted it a little. He would have eaten it himself if he'd known this would happen. Why did he have to let Kong Ming Ming eat it? The second possibility is that something happened to the pill when it was thrown into the trash. Maybe it was mixed with dog poop, or maybe it was mixed with dog poop by accident. Xiaolong said. But no matter what, dog poop shouldn't be the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Our research direction is wrong. Dr. Kang's face was dark, and he didn't say a word. In fact, he didn't know what to say. It was fortunate that this had happened within the Kong family, and no outsiders knew about it. Otherwise, they'd be laughing their heads off. Miracle Dr. Kang's entire family was eating dog poop. It was the biggest joke in the world. Kong Ming Ming had finished pooping by now and returned to the study. So, any conclusions? What you ate earlier might not be dog poop, but there's no way to prove it. Dr. Kong said simply, in any case, the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing isn't dog**T. This matter ends here for now. Don't tell anyone else. Kong Guifeng, Xiaolong, and the others all nodded. Nonsense. Who would take the initiative to tell others about such a shameful thing? Xiaolong, I think it's time to bring up your marriage with the Xiao family's Wang Xinyan. Dr. Kong immediately thought of the Xiao family's marriage after the failure of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. All right, then I'll go to Yanjin in a few days to send the betrothal gifts and settle the marriage. Xiaolong was disappointed as well. He thought that House Kong would be able to soar into the sky this time, but it was all for naught. Yeah, it's just an engagement, so I won't be going. Guifeng, take Xiaolong with you, Dr. Kong instructed his eldest son, Kong Guifeng. Yes, father. Kong Guifeng nodded. There's one more thing, Tsupu. I'll leave it to you. Dr. Kong turned at Suepu. Suepu paused. He was the prodigal son of the family, and there wasn't much he could do other than eat, drink, and play all day. Why was his father asking him to do something for the first time? But he was still very happy inside. The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing wasn't a success, but with Kong Ming Ming's involvement, the father and son duo were clearly valued by Dr. Kong. Dad, just tell me. I'll do my best. Suepu promised. You have a lot of friends in society, so pay close attention to Kong Xiaobo's family. Since that friend of Kong Xiaobo's could get his hands on the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, then he must know some master. Find out who they've been in contact with, and if there really is a master, we'll definitely get him to work for us. Dr. Kong said, I'm good at that, leave it to me. Suepu patted his chest and promised. With that, the matter was settled, and the farce of Dr. Kang's family solving the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing came to an end. But Dr. Kang didn't give up yet. The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was a symbol of wealth and status. If the Kangs could really get their hands on it, then they'd be much more powerful than they were now. Xiao Xiao came to school in the afternoon, and what surprised Lin was that she was still very calm. At least, there wasn't much anger on her face. It was the same as that time, when Lin had poured his piss on her. Nothing could be seen on her face. Lin guessed that she was planning her next revenge. Lin felt wronged. Why did this girl have to make life difficult for him? If he couldn't mess with her, why couldn't he just avoid her? Since you're here, then I'll leave. Lin decided to skip class in the afternoon. He'd received a call from Xiumin earlier, saying that Fatty Lai had already completed the transfer of the building's ownership. As long as Lin nodded, it would be transferred to Guan Xian's name. The medicine that Xiumin had applied for approval had also been approved. In the medical world, with Xiumin's connections, this wasn't a difficult matter. It was just a formality, and the medicine company was right in front of him. The only thing missing was a professional manager. Lin used this chance to go to Xiumin's place to discuss the medicine company. As for Xiao Xiao, he'd leave her alone in school. Seeing Lin leave, Xiao Xiao's lips curled into a subtle smile. She couldn't wait for Lin to leave. She wanted to have a good talk with Kang Xiaobo about Lin Yi's weakness. From the looks of it, messing around like this wasn't a solution at all. Lin Yi's skills were far beyond his imagination, and his reflexes were also unimaginable. Even after the firecracker had been lit, he was still able to take it off his body and tie it to himself, even tying it into a knot. His reaction speed shocked Xiao Xiao. Sitting on the thick cushion, Xiao Xiao poked Kang Xiaobo's back. Do you have time? Can you tell me about your boss? Kang Xiaobo had witnessed the firecracker explosion yesterday, and he was wondering what was going on. He wanted to ask about it, but he didn't know how to ask Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao took the initiative to talk to him. Yesterday, what happened to you? Why did you get blown up by the firecrackers? Kang Xiaobo wasn't with Lin yesterday, so he didn't see what happened. It was an accident. Let's not talk about that. Tell me about Lin Xiao Xiao evidently didn't want to talk about the firecrackers. You saw it too. Lin left the moment I came. He's obviously avoiding me. Xiao Xiao looked at Kang Xiaobo bitterly. She was as pitiful as she could be, like a woman who got dumped. It was impossible not to sympathize with her. Chapter 445. Chapter 445. Lin was stunned, right? You didn't finish what you told me last time. I want to go after Lin. What do I have to do? Xiao Xiao lowered her voice. Well, I don't think it's too hard. Boss is a soft-hearted person, and he can be persuaded, but not cowed. Reality has proven that if you were to be a little more gentle and act coquettishly, Boss wouldn't ignore you anymore. Kang Xiaobo said after some hesitation. It wasn't right to talk about his boss behind his back, but Xiao Xiao was quite pitiful. She was a girl who transferred schools for the man she loved, but not only did she not receive his understanding and praise, she was even given the cold shoulder. This made Kang Xiaobo sympathize with her, and so he spoke a little more. Oh, Lin can be persuaded, but not cowed, huh? Xiao Xiao couldn't help but pause after hearing Kang Xiaobo's words. Kang Xiaobo was one of the closest people to Lin, and now that he said that, did that mean that there was something wrong with her strategy? It seemed that blindly trying to make Lin look bad or threaten him wouldn't have any effect, and might even have the opposite effect. It seemed that she would have to change her plan in order to make Lin submit. Yeah, I think that girls need to learn how to act coquettishly. Look at you. You don't even know how to act coquettishly. How could Boss like you? Kang Xiaobo said matter-of-factly. You know, sis-in-law Tang Yin isn't any worse than you. She's even a little taller than you. If you really like Boss, then you need to be gentle. Is that so? Xiao Xiao frowned. He wanted her to be a little gentler? Be gentle to a boy? What a joke she was Xiao Xiao. Why would you try to please a boy? Wouldn't people laugh their heads off if they found out? No, definitely not. Especially acting coquettishly. Since when did she know how to act coquettishly? She'd never acted coquettishly before. So how could she? But if she didn't do that, then Lin wouldn't teach her how to race. Was racing really that important? Xiao Xiao was at a loss. She wanted to find Lin Yi because Lin Yi ignored her last time, and she was a little pissed off. A little follower was acting all cocky with her. She'd been pissed, and finding Lin Yi was just a way to vent her frustration. Learning to race with him was just a condition. Xiao Xiao had wanted to ask Lin Yi to teach her how to race, and Lin Yi would have agreed. But he didn't even look at her. That was fine. Xiao Xiao could take it, but what she couldn't take it was that Lin Yi drenched her with his piss and tied the firecrackers to her, but with a dead knot. Etian Yi Lin too. Xiao Xiao couldn't take it anymore. She wanted revenge. This wasn't as simple as learning to race. She hated Lin Yi to the core, and she had to make Lin Yi pay a price to appease her anger. With that, Kong Xiaobo's suggestion really needed to be thought. The key was how to do it. Even if Xiao Xiao was acting coquettishly to Lin Yi, asking Lin Yi to teach her how to race, it was just a small matter to Xiao Xiao. Racing or not wasn't important anymore. She had to make Lin Yi pay. Right? Xiao Xiao's eyes lit up. Since Lin Yi liked Tang Yun, then she'd really be the third party and ruin the relationship between Lin Yi and Tang Yun. Then she'd make Lin Yi fall in love with her, and then she'd dump Lin Yi. Haha. When Lin Yi couldn't pull himself out, she'd tell him the truth, and he'd probably be crying by then, wouldn't he? With that thought, Xiao Xiao was filled with fighting spirit. With her beauty, wouldn't it be easy to get Lin Yi? No matter how close he was with Tang Yun, they weren't in the same class. He and Lin Yi, on the other hand, were in the same class. They were desk mates, too. Wouldn't it be too much of a failure if he couldn't win this battle of love with Lin Yi with this kind of advantage? Xiao Xiao's expression kept changing, happy, angry, and hopeful. Kong Xiaobo thought that she'd thought it through. I'm telling you this because I pity you, but don't ruin the relationship between boss and Tang Yun. I won't. I just need to be nice to him from the sidelines, paying attention to him. I don't need him to like me. Xiao Xiao nodded. But you have to keep it a secret from me. Of course, Kong Xiaobo nodded with a smile. He did sympathize with a girl like Xiao Xiao. When Lin Yi got to the villa, he was surprised to see 2 police cars parked in front of the villa. One was Ling Shan's police car, and the other was Huaijun's car, the one that picked him up at school last time. Lin Yi wasn't surprised that Huaijun was here, but Lin Yi found it odd that Ling Shan was here as well. Why was she here? He pressed the doorbell, and the one who opened the door was the housekeeper, Annie Lu. She knew Lin Yi and quickly invited Lin Yi in. She helped him get his slippers. Professor Guan is in the study, and there are 2 guests. One of them is Mr. Yang, whom you know. Ah, got it. I'll go find him myself. I know the other one, too. Lin Yi smiled. All right. Annie Lu didn't say anything else after hearing that Lin Yi knew them. She went back to her work. Lin Yi knocked on the door, and Xu Amin's voice came from inside. Is this Yi? You're here already? It's me. Lin Yi opened the door and nodded with a smile. He was startled by a figure walking up to him. He wanted to dodge, but when he saw who it was, Lin Yi could only smile bitterly. Huaijun gave Lin Yi a bear hug as he laughed. How's my body now? Lin Yi rolled his eyes. You won't die for now, but you'll have to wait if you want to get your strength back. I can get my strength back. Huaijun blinked at Lin Yi's words, but it quickly turned into joy. Eagle, Lin Yi, are you saying that I can get my strength back? When have I ever said that? Lin Yi shrugged. Ling Shan, however, curled her lips in disdain before Huaijun could say anything. It happens all the time. Miss Braindead. No one will think you're mute if you don't talk. Lin Yi wasn't happy with Ling Shan's interruption. He glared at her. Stop begging me next time. Just think of the things I promised you before as nothing but empty promises. Young bro, look, he's bullying me. Ling Shan said pitifully as she looked at Huaijun. Chapter 446. Chapter 446. The other side of Ling Shan Lin almost fell on his butt. He was shocked by Ling Shan's sudden change in gender. Haha, Song. You should find a man who can control you, or you'll be too wild. Huaijun said with a smile. Ah, young bro. What were you talking about? What man? Ling Shan's eyes were wide open, her face red as she glared at Huaijun. Girls have to get married. Huaijun, however, didn't mind at all. Plus, I need to ask Lin Yi for help, too. You? Ask him, too. Ling Shan had always been suspicious of Lin Yi's identity. Even if he was a very strong bodyguard, there was no reason for Huaijuan to praise Lin Yi like this. After all, Huaijuan didn't admire people that easily, and yet he was lowering himself in front of Lin Yi. It was something that Ling Shan couldn't understand. Huaijuan had retired from that mysterious organization, and while he was injured and not as strong as he used to be, he'd still had his glory days, and he was brave and smart. There was no way he'd praise someone so easily. But as for Lin, Ling Shan really couldn't figure out what sort of connection the two had. The most suspicious thing was that Huaijuan had almost lost his composure the first time he met Lin Yi. Huaijuan nodded seriously. I'm begging him to treat me now. Huaijuan wanted to play matchmaker for Lin Yi and Ling Shan. The Song family wasn't weak, but they didn't interfere with Ling Shan's marriage too much, especially since the Song family came from an ancient martial arts house. They worshipped strength, and so Elder Song was very supportive of Ling Shan's decision to find a man who could beat her. Lin Yi, on the other hand, fit the bill perfectly. This alone was enough for Lin Yi to give it a try. But what troubled Huaijuan was Ning. He knew that Lin Yi wouldn't be accepted by her family, but he couldn't help but help her again and again. What kind of mentality was this? He had buried the feelings he had for Xiao Ning in the depths of his heart, and turned it into the protection of her happiness. Ling Shan didn't know what to say. She thought that Huaijuan would be able to give her some courage today, but it seemed that she'd miscalculated. Huaijuan couldn't order Lin Yi around. Huh, you doubted me before, so we're off the deal. Lin, he said as he sat down on the sofa beside Ling Shan. Ling Shan almost vomited blood from regret after hearing Lin Yi's words. She wouldn't have said that if she'd known this would happen. She'd thought that Huaijuan would back her up, only to realize that she'd made a huge mistake. Ling Shan gritted her teeth as she looked at that. I don't need your help, so don't bother me, look on Lin Yi's face, but there was nothing she could do. She wanted to ease up her relationship with Lin Yi, so she kicked Lin Yi. Hey, why are you so stingy? It's not a matter of being stingy, it's a matter of principle. I won't help you. I won't help you. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was quite relaxed. He didn't want to get involved in Ling Shan's business anymore. He wouldn't have bothered if it weren't for Huaijuan. Now that the opportunity presented itself, Lin Yi pushed it away cleanly. Ling Shan glared at him, but there was nothing she could do. After some hesitation, she pulled on the corner of Lin Yi's shirt and whispered into his ear. Miss Braindead was wrong, all right? Just forgive her this once. Ling Shan's body was trembling as she spoke. Since when had she ever lowered herself to someone like this? But in front of Lin Yi, she had no choice but to lower herself. Why was she so unlucky? He had her in his palm, and she didn't even have a chance to turn things around. All right, I'll forgive you this once then. Lin Yi was moved by Ling Shan. He didn't think that this girl would be able to move Lin Yi's heart when she acted like a spoiled child. All beautiful girls were cute. The key was whether or not they knew how to show their cute side. Lin Yi came to a conclusion. It seemed that he was being kind, after all. This wasn't a good sign. What if a female assassin acted like a spoiled child in the future? Would he let her go? Ling Shan's voice was soft, and Guan Shuamin couldn't hear it. But Huaijuan, who was sitting beside her, heard it loud and clear. Huaijuan was strong, and while he was injured and dropped a level, he was still a golden class early phase at his peak. His hearing was naturally better than a normal person's, and he almost fainted when he heard what Ling Shan said to Lin Yi. Was this still the Ling Shan he knew? Ling Shan would show her little girl side in front of him, but that was only because she saw him as a big brother, an elder. There was no other meaning behind it. But as for Lin Yi wasn't even as old as her, was he? Could it be that Song had fallen for him this time? Huaijuan was suspicious, but he could only pretend that he didn't hear it. This was a matter of a girl's face. She might be able to say that in front of Lin Yi, but if other people heard it, she'd probably kill herself. Ling Shan glared at Lin Yi hatefully, but she'd gotten an answer she was satisfied with. She turned her head away and ignored him. Xu Amin didn't know what was going on, but his instincts told him that Lin Yi and Ling Shan's relationship wasn't normal. He sighed inwardly. He'd seen his granddaughter's feelings for him, and if it were any other boy, he'd have the confidence to make it happen. But this was Lin Yi, and he didn't have any confidence at all. First of all, Lin Yi's medical skills were better than his, and second, Lin Yi should be different in other areas other than his medical skills. He was very outstanding. This was something he could tell from the conversation between Lingshan and Lin Yi. Wait a bit. Yang and Song have something to talk to me about, and they've just arrived. We'll talk about other things after they're done. Xu Amin said to Lin Yi. He'd become closer to Lin Yi, and he'd already considered Lin Yi as half a family member. He didn't need to be too polite. Yeah, it's fine. I'll sit here for a bit. Lin Yi said before looking at Huaijuan. Should I leave for a bit? With that, Lin Yi was about to stand up. Lingshan wanted to drag Lin Yi back with her claws. She'd wanted Lin Yi's help with this, so why did he have to leave? It's fine. You can listen in as well. You'll be able to help if you find any clues. Huaijuan said with a wave of his hand. Chapter 447. Chapter 447. Rolling Ines expected. Lin Yi nodded and sat back down on the sofa. Then let's hear it. Huaijuan didn't waste any time, getting straight to the point. Grandpa Guan, I brought Song here because I want to use your connections to get some information. Yang, don't be so courteous, just say it. Xu Amin waved his hand, knowing that Huaijuan had to have something important to discuss with him. Just come over if you need anything next time, Song. Thank you, Professor Guan. Lingshan said quickly. It's like this, Grandpa Guan. There's been an illegal organ trafficking organization recently, taking beggars, homeless people, and even disabled people in the city and cutting out their kidneys or corneas. It's gotten to a point where they don't care about anything. Huaijuan said, so I'd like you to help me find out where all the big hospitals get their corneas transplanted. Hoping to find some clues. That's easy, but I can only ask around. Those who've already undergone surgery. Even if the organ comes from an illegal source, I can't ask them to cut it out again. Xu Amin said, naturally, that's a little inhumane, but those involved in the illegal trade still have to be punished. Huaijuan said, please help me, Grandpa Guan. I'll give Xiang a call. He's a shareholder of many hospitals, and he's more informed than I am. Xu Amin nodded. The Xiang that Xu Amin was talking about was Xu Amin's youngest son, Guan Xiaoxiang, who was also Guan Xian's father. He held shares in many hospitals, and together with Guan Xian's mother, he owned a private hospital in Songjiang. He was one of the most famous doctors in the province. Haha, with Uncle Xiang and Aunt Lan's help, we should be able to get some information. Huaijuan nodded. The Aunt Lan he was talking about was Guan Xiaoxiang's wife, Guan Xian's mother. Huaijuan had brought Lingshan here mainly to ask for Xu Amin's help, and now that they were done, Xu Amin had agreed without hesitation. There was no need for them to stay any longer. Xu Amin obviously had other things to discuss with Lin Yi, too, and so Huaijuan got up to leave. We'll be going then, Grandpa Guan. We're a little busy here at the bureau. I'll come see you another day. Go ahead. Come back for dinner another day. Guan Xu Amin nodded. Wait. Lin Yi stopped Huaijuan. I prepared the medicine for your second course of treatment, but I didn't bring it today. Come to my school tomorrow? All right, but I've been transferred to a nearby city to help investigate a big case. I'll be pretty busy, so send Song over if I don't have the time. Huaijuan nodded. I won't say too many thank yes. It's all said. You're busy. Aren't you afraid of dying of exhaustion? Lin Yi shrugged. I didn't see you so busy before I treated you. Haha. The more capable you are, the more things you can do. I'm pretty much fine now, aren't I? Huaijuan said, a little embarrassed. Plus, I'm creating opportunities for you and Song, aren't I? Wah. Lin Yi's eyes went wide, and so did Lingshan. Lin Yi was a little speechless. Why was Huaijuan always trying to get him and Lingshan together? Lingshan, on the other hand, was surprised that young bro would act so frivolously in front of Lin Yi. Humph, he must have been led astray by the kid. That had to be it. She'd make sure to teach Lin Yi a lesson the day she could turn things around. But it didn't seem like she could turn things around just yet. She still had to work hard. After sending Huaijuan and Lingshan off, Lin Yi returned to Guan Xu Amin's study. Guan Xiumin was on the phone when Lin Yi came in. I called Mr. Lai. He'll be here soon. Mr. Lai? Fatty Lai, right? Lin Yi froze for a moment before reacting. Ha, that's him. Guan Xiumin, naturally, couldn't call Lai Chang'e Fatty Lai. The two hadn't spoken much when voices came from outside the study, and a ball-like person rolled into the study. Fatty Lai had been here before, so Aunt Lu recognized him. He was let in as soon as he arrived. But Fatty Lai heard from Guan Xiumin that Lin Yi was here as well, so he panicked a little. He really wanted to see Lin Yi. He hadn't seen him since the birthday banquet, so he tripped at the door and rolled into the study. Lin Yi jumped at Fatty Lai. What kind of martial arts are you practicing? Even if you wanted to come in quickly, you didn't have to come in like this, did you? Haha, it's a mistake. I tripped and fell. Fatty Lai was a little embarrassed. Miracle Dr. Lin, I finally get to see you. I miss you so much. Sob sob. I thought you didn't want me anymore, that I'd never see you again. You don't know how excited I was when Professor Wan called me. I wasn't even as excited as I was when I got married. All right, just stay away from me. I'm a little scared. I don't doubt your sexual orientation, but I'm still wary of you, Lin Yi said after getting a meter away from Fatty Lai. It's okay. I'm happy to see you, Miracle Dr. Lin. Fatty Lai didn't mind that Lin Yi looked down on him at all. He took out a document from his backpack. Miracle Dr. Lin, please have a look. The building's ownership has been transferred to Miss Guan Xian's name. As soon as Miss Guan Xian signs it, the contract will come into effect. Oh, isn't your new company in the building? What are you going to do if it's all transferred? Lin Yi asked curiously. I'm a tenant now, and I'll pay the rent on time, Fatty Lai said. Miracle Dr. Lin, you're not kicking me out, are you? Lin Yi thought that Fatty Lai was a little troublesome, but he didn't have a reason to kick him out. He'd given his building to you, and it wasn't right to kick him out. I won't, just stay here. Don't worry about the rent. Lin Yi waved his hand. Haha, I'll stay here then. Fatty Lai had made up his mind. He was going to stick to Lin Yi. He could see that being close to Lin Yi would bring him a lot of benefits in the future. Lin Yi wasn't familiar with him before, and he didn't really like him, but it didn't matter. They get to know each other after a while. Wasn't everything good now? At least Lin Yi was willing to see him, and that was a good start. Chapter 448. Have a bad attitude. Fatty Lai was basically giving this skyscraper to Lin Yi for free. Lin Yi felt that he should return something to Fatty Lai, so he decided to ask about his father's condition. Fatty Lai froze when he heard Lin Yi's question. He couldn't believe his ears, but he was overjoyed when he confirmed that there was nothing wrong with his hearing. Fatty Lai burst into tears, his eyes brimming with hot tears. He felt that all his hard work had finally paid off. Lin Yi didn't want to see him before, didn't want to talk to him, but now he took the initiative to ask about his father's illness. This made Fatty Lai feel flattered. Sob sob, Miracle Dr. Lin. I knew you were a good person. You would care about my father. Fatty Lai was about to kneel down in front of Lin. I thank you on behalf of my father. All right, stop. Stop right now. Lin, he was scared out of his wits by Fatty Lai's actions. Don't be like that. If you do that again, I won't ask next time. I shouldn't have said so much, don't. I won't cry sob sob. I'm just moved. I'm crying tears of joy. Fatty Lai quickly stood up and wiped his tears. Fatty Lai lived up to his nickname as a crybaby. His tears came and went quickly, and he was all smiles again. As long as you don't cry, you can call me normally next time. Lin, he was a little speechless. He really admired this guy. In order to make him cry a few times less, Lin, he gave him phone privileges. Really? That's great, Miracle Dr. Lin. Fatty Lai was so excited that he was about to cry again, but when he remembered what Lin Yi said just now, he stopped crying. Now let's talk about your father's condition. He has uremia, right? Lin, he waved his hand to stop Fatty Lai. Even if the guy didn't cry, he'd still be dawdling. Yes, uremia. After taking half of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, there's a clear effect. He's already awake, and he's in much better spirits. All his vitals are starting to improve, but the doctor said that he's still not completely recovered. Although the treatment can be maintained, I don't know if it'll worsen. Fatty Lai said worriedly. Have you had a kidney transplant before? Lenny nodded and asked. No, he's too old. I'm afraid he won't be able to get off the operating table. The doctor doesn't recommend surgery either, Fatty Lai said honestly. That's easy. Lenny said, well, I'll write down some traditional Chinese medicine. You go out and buy it for me. I'll make it and let your father drink it for a week. After a week, he'll come here to change the dressing. Ah, all right. Thank you, Miracle Dr. Lin. Fatty Lai was beyond excited. He felt like he'd finally bet on the right treasure. It seemed like Miracle Dr. Lin was a kind person. After all his coaxing and pestering, Miracle Dr. Lin was finally willing to help. Lin, he didn't completely trust Fatty Lai yet, so he didn't ask him to buy all the important ingredients for the first time. He only wrote down the names of the herbs needed for the first course of treatment. The dosage wasn't precise either, around 5 ounces of each herb. He even wrote down the names of a few useless ones. Fatty Lai carefully took the prescription from Lin Yi, afraid that he'd lose it. He put it in his pocket and rushed out to buy the herbs. After sending Fatty Lai away, Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. He turned to Xiumin. Grandpa Guan, are the procedures for the pharmaceutical company and the approval of the herbs done? Yeah, these are all small things. I don't need to do anything. I've asked Xiang to do it. He'll be here soon. Xiumin nodded. As they were talking, there was a knock on the door, and then the door was pushed open. Dad, I brought the ingredients you wanted. A middle-aged man walked in. His face looked like Xiumin's. He must be Xiumin's son, Guan Xiaoxiang. Just leave it here. Oh, right. Let me introduce you. This is the Lin Yi I mentioned to you, Mr. Lin. Xiumin introduced Lin Yi to Xiaoxiang. Hello, Uncle Guan. Lin Yi quickly got up to greet him. After all, Xiaoxiang was his elder, and Lin Yi didn't dare to be careless. However, Xiaoxiang's attitude towards Lin Yi was very calm. He nodded and said indifferently, Hello, Mr. Lin. If Lin Yi called Xiaoxiang uncle, then he shouldn't have called Lin Yi Mr. Lin. Even if he was being polite, he shouldn't have been so cold. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He didn't know how he had offended Xiaoxiang. He felt awkward and didn't know what to say. Xiumin tried to smooth things over. Xiaoxiang, are you busy at the company? Not bad. Xiaoxiang said indifferently. Dad, why did you suddenly think of starting a company? I thought you didn't like to use your own name to do things. Don't get confused when you're old. Be careful that your reputation will be ruined. Xiaoxiang, what nonsense are you talking about? Xiumin's face suddenly became gloomy. He glared at his son. Are you okay? If not, you can leave. I'm very busy at the company. I came back to deliver the ingredients to you. Of course I have to hurry back. Xiaoxiang said indifferently. I'm just reminding you. Don't be fooled. After saying that, Xiaoxiang looked at Lin Yi, then turned around and left the room. He didn't say anything else and quickly left the villa. The sound of the door closing could be heard from outside. This kid, Xiumin, was so angry that he couldn't breathe. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. He said to Lin Yi, don't mind him. Ah, Uncle Guan is doing this for your own good. He's afraid that I'm a scammer. Lin Yi smiled, showing that he understood. Actually, what Xiaoxiang said was not wrong. Although it was a bit disrespectful, he was standing on the side of family and reminding Xiumin not to be fooled. It was just that the way he expressed it was a bit too direct. He could have said it after Lin had left, but Lin Yi didn't care about that. It's not against you. Xiumin shook his head. This kid still hates me. He's still brooding about what happened in the past. What happened in the past? Lin Yi was a bit surprised. That eldest son of mine, I've told you before. He's a lazy, jobless man. He relied on my reputation to rope in some pharmacists and started a medical business. He's doing quite well, Xiumin said. So, when my youngest son was about to graduate from university, he teamed up with a classmate he was close to and wanted to set up a clinic under my name. I rejected him harshly, so he's still brooding about me using my name to set up a medical company with you. Chapter 449. The company's planning, probably. He's already an adult, but he's still acting like a child. Guan Xiumin smiled. Actually, he knows that I'm not an idiot. That's why he helped me with the paperwork so quickly. What he said just now wasn't directed at you. but at me, expressing his dissatisfaction. You've only suffered because of me. Anyone else would have done the same. I see. Lin nodded in realization. But Uncle Guan seems to be doing pretty well now. No longer relying on your family. Since then, he hasn't relied on me for anything. Guan Shumin shook his head and said with a bitter smile. However, Xiao Xiang is lucky. He found an even more powerful backer, and now he's doing very well. When he's free, he wants to prove to me that he can succeed without relying on me. Haha, I didn't think Uncle Guan had this side to him. Lin smiled. He probably knows that you are doing it for his own good, but the knot in his heart hasn't been untied yet. Of course he knows, but he's still brooding about it. Guan Shuamin said, All right, forget about him. It's been so many years I've gotten used to it. He might look like he doesn't like it, but he's still good to me. I don't even know who my parents are. Lin, he was a little saddened. He'd only understood the meaning of his parents after he grew up, but he still brooded over the fact that they'd abandoned him. Fortunately, he had two masters who loved him dearly, and that replaced the love he'd had when he was young. Guan Shuamin paused. He'd had many guesses about Lin Yi's parentage, even thinking that Lin Yi was the descendant of the benefactor who'd taught him all those years ago. It was one of the reasons he trusted Lin Yi unconditionally, but he'd never dare to ask. On one hand, Lin Yi didn't want to talk about his parentage, and on the other, he was afraid that Lin Yi would keep it a secret. It'd only make things awkward if he didn't tell him. You don't know who your parents are? Guan Shuamin looked at Lin Yi in shock. Haha, I only have two masters, but they're both nice to me, treating me like their own son. They're a bit strict, but I know they're doing it for my own good. Lin Yi didn't hide his identity on purpose. There wasn't much to hide. It's good that you have this mentality. But as long as someone treats you well, regardless of whether they're your biological parents or not, you will treat them as family, right? Guan Shuamin smiled. Master. In other words, a master is like a father. Yes, that's right. Therefore, I didn't lack love in my childhood. My mentality is also very normal. Lin Yi nodded seriously. Your medical skills were taught to you by your master? Guan Shuamin hesitated for a moment before asking. Yeah, one of them taught me martial arts, another taught me medicine, and a bad master taught me how to steal and gamble. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I see. Guan Shuamin felt a bit of a headache at the complicated relationship between Lin Yi's masters. If your medical skills are already this good, then your master... I can't say that, Grandpa Guan. Both my old man and my kung fu master are special people. I'll have to keep it a secret without their permission. Lin Yi didn't want to hide anything from Guan Shuamin, but Lin Yi couldn't say anything without his master's permission. Even people close to him, like Huaijuan, didn't know about this. It's fine, I'm just asking. Guan Shuamin was a bit disappointed, but he didn't blame Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi was doing the right thing. Let's talk about the company. The medicines that are ready for the market right now are pain relievers and injury medicine. I can't make any decisions on the other types without the formulas. There are some formulas for the other types, but which ones are more popular? Lin Yi didn't know much about business. Well, as long as it's effective, it'll sell well. Guan Shuamin said, common cold medicine, for example. If you can make a traditional medicine with minimal side effects, it'll sell well too. But these are all established pharmaceutical companies with established formulas and brands. It's pointless for us to go in and fight for the market. It's true that the common cold medicine's formulas are already set. Even if I were to change it, it wouldn't be much of an improvement. The best way would be to supplement it with acupuncture or cupping, but that's impossible unless it's a clinic. You can't just get acupuncture and cupping for free, can you? Lin Yi nodded with a smile. I'm not an expert when it comes to business. Actually, I'm just giving my personal opinion. Guan Shuamin said, you should hire a management expert to run the company. That's true. It's not that easy to find a professional manager. Lin Yi knew that Guan Shuamin was speaking the truth. First of all, is the person trustworthy? And second, is he really capable? After all, the success of a pharmaceutical company depends on the professional manager's ability. I think you should ask Mr. Lai about that. He's been in the business world for a long time, and he should have some experience. It shouldn't be too hard to ask him to find a professional manager. Wan Xiaomin said. At least it'll be easier than looking for one ourselves. That's true. Lenny nodded. Fatty Lai left for about half an hour before rushing back with a few bags of herbs in his hands. He barged into Guan Xiaomin's study. Miracle Dr. Lin, I bought them all. With that, Fatty Lai placed the bags on the coffee table in front of Lin. Lin looked at the huge pile of bags in front of him, confused. Why was there so much? Even if he bought a kilo of each herb, there wouldn't be this many. Lin opened a bag and checked the herbs inside. They were all packed according to his prescription. He couldn't help but feel strange. Isn't this enough? What's in the other bags? The other bags are the same, but I bought them at different points. Fatty Lai said, panting. There are a lot of scammers these days. I was afraid that I'd buy fake medicine in one pharmacy, so I thought about buying from a few more. I thought that there should be some real ones, right? Chapter 450. Volunteering himself, Lin looked through the other bags of herbs. Other than a few that had been stored for a little too long, they're all real. That's good. Fatty Lai was afraid that all the herbs he bought were fake, so it was fine as long as there were real ones. Then Miracle Dr. Lin, please pick the good ones and use them. All right, Grandpa Guan, do you have a furnace for decocting herbs? Lin asked. Yes, I'll get Aunt Lu to bring it over. Xiaomin was a traditional Chinese medicine expert, so his house naturally didn't lack equipment for decocting herbs. Then, don't need to leave for a moment? Fatty Lai was a sensible man. He was afraid that Lin would be careful when he decocted the herbs, so he didn't want to attract unwanted attention. No need, just sit here. I have some things to ask you about the company's opening. Lin waved his hand, gesturing for Fatty Lai to sit. Ask me? Fatty Lai was flattered, rubbing his chubby hands together. I wouldn't dare to ask for advice, but I can only make decisions. Don't worry, I'll tell you everything I know. Miracle Dr. Lin, you're asking me to speak because you think highly of me. Aunt Lu quickly brought the decocting equipment over, and Lin nimbly picked out some fresh herbs and threw them into the frying pan. It looked like a random grab, but the amount was actually very precise. Fatty Lai was secretly amazed, but didn't think much of it. Lin Yi's medical skills weren't just for show, and this was nothing compared to his other skills. Even Xiaomin was surprised by Lin Yi's speed. It seemed like Lin didn't even look at the equipment before he finished the process. Fatty Lai, my medicine company has 2 initial products ready for the market. One is a painkiller with no side effects, and the other is an injury medicine. How do you think we should advertise it? Lin asked. Miracle Dr. Lin, is this injury medicine similar to Dr. Kang's golden creation medicine? Fatty Lai showed a shrewd face when it came to business, no longer the crybaby and soft-hearted man he was before. Almost. I haven't seen Jinchuan medicine before, but my injury medicine can also help the wound heal quickly without leaving any scars. Lenny nodded and said, that should be about it. Fatty Lai pondered for a while and said, my suggestion is to use this injury medicine first and use it to get famous. Oh, what do you mean? Lin looked at Fatty Lai. Both Lin and Xiaomin wanted to release both medicines together, but Fatty Lai wanted to release them in batches. We will only introduce one medicine that has similar effects to the most amazing Dr. Kang's golden creation medicine in the market. This way, everyone will compare us. Fatty Lai said, they will have some doubts about our product in the beginning, but once they realize that the effects are the same as Dr. Kang's medicine, they will start to lean towards us. Of course, there are 2 prerequisites. One is that our product's price must be lower than theirs, and the other is that we must have sufficient supply. According to what I know, there are a few ingredients in Dr. Kang's golden creation medicine that are produced in low quantities, and they give priority to special organizations and the military. That's why they don't sell a lot in the civilian market. So if they can't buy their product, the consumers will choose us. Of course, if our product is better than theirs, then we don't have to lower the price. Or if we can't increase our production, then no matter what, the market will still be out of stock. There's no point in fighting with them for the market. Fatty Lai finished in one breath and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Lin, E, and Shuamin were stunned. They didn't expect Fatty Lai to be so skillful. Not only was he a crybaby, but he was also a genius. Then the sales of the painkillers. Lin, he didn't have much experience in the business world, so he continued to ask humbly. As long as our injury medicine is a hit, the painkillers won't be a problem. Fatty Lai said, once our first product hits the market and is accepted by the consumers, there's basically no need to advertise our second product. Of course, we can also hold a live press conference. I see. Lenny nodded, enlightened. Then should we still hold the auction I've been planning? I'm planning to auction off a few of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, but Lin, he hesitated. He wasn't familiar with Fatty Lai, so he couldn't make it sound too easy to concoct the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. If he said it was like candy, then he'd have to scam an entire skyscraper off for half a pill. That'd be a huge loss, although he was the one who offered it. Lin, he didn't want Fatty Lai to scold him behind his back. He continued, but it's not easy to concoct the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Many of the ingredients are almost extinct, so there's a limited number of them. We can't mass produce them right now. If we auction this, won't it seem like it has nothing to do with the medicine company's products? Of course not. It's a gimmick. Fatty Lai waved his hands. This pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was really good stuff. It was wise of him to dig half a pill out of a pile of dog shit. Lin, he probably didn't have many of these pills left. This was a priceless treasure. I thought it was a gimmick too, but from what you're saying, it doesn't seem like a gimmick anymore. Lin, he asked, how is it meaningless? Fatty Lai waved his hand. We can announce this pill of life extension and toxin cleansing to the public. It's a limited edition ingredient because the success rate is low and the ingredients are rare. Well, we can just say that it's a limited edition ingredient given to us by the expert who provided us the recipe. The rarer something is, the greater its value. When the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing achieves good results, the price of our injury medicine will naturally rise as well. Lenny nodded, thinking that Fatty Lai's idea wasn't bad. Do you know where I can hire a professional manager to manage the company? Well, Fatty Lai's eyes flashed with excitement and anticipation when he heard Lin Yi's words. His face flushed a little. What do you think of me? You? Lin Yi paused for a moment before understanding what Fatty Lai meant. You're saying you want to be a professional manager? Yeah, what do you think of me? I've been in the business world for more than 10 years. I'm quite experienced. Fatty Lai said, thumping his chest. But your trading company and real estate company. Lenny looked at Fatty Lai, confused. Chapter 451. Another follower, Lin, he didn't know what was wrong with Fatty Lai. Why was he abandoning his existing company and coming to a new one to be a manager? You don't want your family's business anymore? Lin, he couldn't figure out Fatty Lai's intentions. Miracle Dr. Lin, I gave my family's business to my brother. I don't want it anymore. I don't care about it. I don't want to fight and scheme against him all the time. Fatty Lai chuckled. Besides, I think that following you will have a better future than running those family businesses. Miracle Dr. Lin, I can foresee that your company will be even more powerful than that Dr. Kang's medical group. I'll be the manager of the group and your spokesperson, Miracle Dr. Lin. Won't I be the best? When my brother finds out about the importance of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, he'll be begging me on his knees. Begging? Is that rare? Don't you always kneel and cry? Lenny couldn't help but admire Fatty Lai's courage. He'd abandoned his family's business to follow him. That's different. You're a miracle doctor. I wouldn't kneel and cry to anyone else, Fatty Lai said, a little embarrassed. Lenny thought that this guy was a natural crybaby. He didn't think that it was just directed at him. This gave Lin quite a headache. You have a good idea, but this medical group of mine is just a spur-of-the-moment thing. I don't know if it can continue or if there will be any new products. Lin, he had to get the ugly part out of the way first. Who knew what he was going to do in the future? Even his old man didn't have a clear answer. It's fine, Miracle Dr. Lin. Why don't you take me in as your follower? Fatty Lai was a smart man. He'd seen through the facts a long time ago. Lin, he wasn't an ordinary person. and there was no harm in following him. Fatty Lie had grown up in a rich family, so he didn't care much about money anymore. What he pursued was fame and status, and Lin he could help him achieve this dream. Being someone else's lackey wasn't a fun thing to do, but it depended on who it was. Fatty Lie was more than willing to be Lin Yi's lackey. How awesome was Lin Yi? People with medical skills like Lin Yi's were people that all the big families and forces would fight to curry favor with. Which one of them hadn't experienced illness and death? However, if Lin Yi could delay their deaths, why wouldn't they rush to him like a flock of ducks? At that time, even if he was just a follower, he would be Lin Yi's spokesperson outside. Lin Yi was very busy every day. How could he have time to entertain outsiders? Once this little brother of his appeared, Fatty Lie was elated just thinking about it. What was an electronics industrial park to him? His brother was really short-sighted. Look at himself. How smart was his decision? People had to be thick-skinned and crybaby. Look at himself. He was thick-skinned and a crybaby. Didn't he gain Lin Yi's favor just like that? You want to be a lackey? Lin Yi looked at Fatty Lie oddly. I don't need lackeys. Not all. Boss Lin Yi, listen to me. Fatty Lie began to analyze, and he called Lin Yi Boss Lin Yi smoothly. Lin Yi was helpless. Boss, what kind of status do you have? When a medical corporation is established, there will be big families coming to ask for medicine. Everyone wants to see you, boss. Can you see them all? Boss is already very busy every day, and he still has to chase girls and enjoy life. How can you have time to deal with them? That's when you need a lackey to help you deal with these things. And I'm just the right person. Lin Yi thought about it. Fatty Lie's words made sense, so he said, but I already have a follower. You're talking about Kong Xiaobo. Think about it. That's not enough. Fatty Lie shook his head. How can a lackey do that? Kong Xiaobo will be by your side all day, accompanying you to school and enjoying life. He can't handle company business every day, can he? He can just be the vice chairman. And I'll be the little brother who helps you take care of the company's affairs. Lin Yi nodded, but what Lin Yi didn't mention was that he had a lackey in his old home called Gooden. But thinking about Gooden's IQ, Lin Yi shook his head. This kid could only be a fighter and a punching bag. He was all brawn and no brains. And he'll give Gooden a call one day and see what he's up to. It's been a while since he went back, and he kind of missed him. Seeing that Lin Yi was a little tempted, Fatty Lie quickly added fuel to the fire. Plus, what kind of person are you, boss? You can't just have a lackey by your side, right? Look at all the big shots who don't have a lot of lackeys around them. Each lackey has their own role: bodyguards, personal secretaries, housekeepers, nannies, and mistresses. All right, stop wasting time. I'll reluctantly accept you as a temporary lackey. Once you pass the inspection, you'll be promoted to an official one. Lin Yi was getting impatient from Fatty Lie's words. Fatty Lie's words made sense, and so Lin Yi agreed. But he was still someone else's lackey, and now Fatty Lie was his lackey. What would it be like when he went out with the miss in the future? Even a follower has a follower. I'm afraid I've already become the most awesome follower in the history of the game. Haha, then I'll be Miracle Dr. Lin's lackey from now on. Fatty Lie was overjoyed, automatically ignoring the word temporary. Don't worry, I'll take care of this medicine company. Lin Yi was a little speechless. This Fatty Lie was even more enthusiastic than he was. It seemed that having a lackey like this would save him a lot of trouble in the future. But Lin Yi didn't fully trust Fatty Lie yet. He didn't know what kind of person this guy was, and there were some things he couldn't trust him with. He'd have to observe him for a while before deciding. He gave the concoction to Fatty Lie and sent him away. Lin Yi sat back on the sofa in Xiumin's study. Grandpa Guan, what do you think of this? You mean Mr. Lie? Xiumin asked. Why doesn't this guy seem very reliable? Lin Yi felt that Fatty Lie's way of talking and doing things didn't seem like a business elite, but more like an idiot. If it weren't for Fatty Lie's suggestions on how to run the company, Lin Yi would have thought that the kid was just a playboy. Chapter 452. Chapter 452. Guan Xiumin's sense of danger. Oh? Lin Yi paused at Xiumin's words. He hadn't expected Fatty Lie to be this capable. He thought the guy was just a theoretical weakling. So you're saying that Fatty Lai really wants to help? Haha, he's not an idiot. He knows that he'll have a brighter future if he follows someone. Guan Shuamin chuckled. If not for that half of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing he picked out from the trash can, perhaps he wouldn't have made such a big decision. However, the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing gave him confidence and solidified his future direction. Lenny nodded. If Shuamin's information was correct, then that was the only explanation. He was secretly impressed by Fatty Lai's foresight. He'd actually forced him to be his boss. Grandpa Guan, do you have any suggestions on how to split the shares? Now that Fatty Lai was here, he thought about the issue of share distribution. I'm not an expert myself, but I think that half of the shares should be in your hands. Shuamin suggested after some thought. We're all on good terms right now, but it's better to be safe than sorry. If you control half of the shares, you'll have the right to speak in the future. This is very important. All right. He wasn't worried that someone would betray him in the future, but Pengzhan Industries was a good example. He didn't want to go through the trouble of dealing with these things, so he agreed with Shuamin's suggestion. How about this? You and Kong Xiaobo will each take 15% of the company. Fatty Lai will need to be tested, but if he's sincere in following me, I'll give him 15%. As for the remaining 55%, I'll put it under Guan Xian's name. Oh, Shuamin paused. He didn't know what he was trying to do. What was he trying to achieve by putting all the shares under his granddaughter's name? If the two of them had already confirmed their relationship, then there was nothing wrong with what they did. However, according to his observation, the relationship between his granddaughter and he was basically the same. His granddaughter was interested, but he didn't seem to have that kind of intention. As a result, Yi's actions were a little thought-provoking. Shuamin was already confused when he put the building under Guan Xian's name, and he couldn't hold it in anymore. You've given me 15% of the shares and 55% to Xian. Xian also has the building under her name, so it'll only be a matter of a word for our family to take control of the medicine company. Have you thought of the consequences? He smiled. He knew Shuamin would ask this. If Shuamin had accepted all of this without a word, he wouldn't have said anything, but he would have looked down on Shuamin in his heart. The medical company was something that he had casually set up, and he didn't put much effort into it. He had to admit that Shuamin had taken it all. It was like seeing through a person's character. To put it bluntly, the reason why he set up this medical company was because he didn't want to live off a woman, and he wanted to earn some pocket money for himself. After Liu Tianyi sent over the 100 million, it didn't matter if he started the company or not. Setting up the company was just to fight for Kong Xiaobo's pride, so that he wouldn't be looked down upon by Dr. Kang's family. So he smiled. Grandpa Guan, this is all because of your reputation. I only provided 2 prescriptions, so I have nothing to say if you want to take it. Haha, you trust me too much. Although Shuamin didn't have any ulterior motives, he was touched by Yi's trust. I'll give my shares to Xian as well. But if Xian tries to steal your company in the future, don't come looking for me. I won't. He shook his head. Was Guan Xian that kind of person? Based on Yi's understanding of Guan Xian, she wasn't that kind of person. After chatting with Shuamin for a while more, he got up to leave. His bag was still at school, and he had to go back eventually. I'll be going then, Grandpa Guan. Call me if you need anything. He said. You're not waiting for Xian to come back. I wanted you to stay for dinner, Shuamin said, a little regretful. On one hand, he was regretful that they didn't finish the academic discussion, and on the other hand, he was regretful for Xian. Could Yi and his granddaughter work out? As an elder, Shuamin really wanted Yi to be his grandson-in-law. Lingshan's appearance, as well as Huaijuan's attitude, gave him a sense of danger. However, Yi's attitude did comfort him a little. At least he didn't seem to like Lingshan that much, and the fact that he was willing to give his shares to his granddaughter meant that Yi trusted Xian. This way, Xian would have a head start. Maybe next time. Lin Yi said as he looked at the time on his phone. I still have to go back to school. That's fine too. Next time then. Xu Min didn't force him to stay. After all, things were different now. He and Lin Yi were business partners now, and Lin Yi would be visiting his house more often in the future. Lin Yi left Xu Min's house and drove to school. The bell for the last self-study period rang just as he stepped into the classroom. Meng Yao and Yushu were already used to Lin Yi's frequent absences, and they didn't bother to ask him about it. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was a little annoyed. Lin Yi was her follower, and it was work time right now. Why was the guy disappearing all the time? Lin Yi, you're back. Lin Yi had just sat down when he heard a soft voice. His scalp went numb, and he almost fell to the ground. Xiao Xiao's eyes were curved into crescent moons as she looked at Lin Yi with a cute smile on her face. She took out a drink from her desk. Thirsty? I bought this for you. Are you all right? Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao in disbelief. Even if their relationship wasn't as serious as a death feud, it was at least as serious as killing her father. Lin Yi didn't understand. Why would Xiao Xiao treat him like this? Was she hiding a dagger behind her smile? I'm fine. Xiao Xiao blinked, confused. What could happen to me? Why do you ask? Xiao Xiao's question made Lin Yi speechless. He couldn't just say that he pissed on her and blew up her, but with firecrackers, that there was a huge grudge between them, and that she shouldn't be so gentle to him. Chapter 453. Chapter 453. The weird Xiao Xiao, it's nothing. It's good that you're fine. Lin Yi nodded, troubled. Why was this girl even worse than Yushu? Why did he run into these people all the time? He thought that the days of bullets and bullets were scary, but there were scary things in real life as well. For you, it's really good. I drank a bottle earlier and thought it was pretty good, so I bought it for you. Xiao Xiao put the drink in front of Lin. Thanks, Lin Yi said helplessly. What else could he say? If Xiao Xiao had just scolded him the moment she came, Lin Yi would have thought it was normal. He'd just ignore her and be done with it. But she was talking nicely to him, and he couldn't just pretend he didn't hear her. Could he? Lin Yi even wondered if the one who blew up yesterday was Xiao Xiao's twin sister. The violent older sister was blown up, and today it was the gentle younger sister. Lin Yi was actually a little thirsty. He picked up the bottle and looked at the bottle. It was unopened. He opened it and took a sip, and there was nothing wrong with it. Lin Yi took a few sips, confused. You're welcome. Xiao Xiao shook her head. If you like it, I'll buy it for you every day. Lin Yi was drinking when he spat it out at Xiao Xiao's words, onto Kong Xiaobo's back. Kong Xiaobo was listening to the conversation between Xiao Xiao and Lin Yi, secretly envious of Lin Yi. He turned around with a bitter face. Boss, I'm already envious of you. Why did you spit on me? I'm sorry. Lin Yi sweated as he looked at Xiao Xiao oddly. Xiao Xiao, tell me the truth. What do you mean? Nothing? Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi with wide eyes, as if she didn't understand what Lin Yi was talking about. Were you the one but was blown up by the firecrackers yesterday? Lin Yi asked. Don't say that, it's so embarrassing. Xiao Xiao's face reddened as she whispered. Lin Yi was about to faint. Have you become stupid from the explosion? You're the dumb one. I'm the real me now. Xiao Xiao pouted. Didn't I want you to teach me how to race? I also felt that there was something wrong with my method, so I changed it. It's impossible to teach you how to race. It's illegal, Lin Yi said. It's fine. You can teach me how to race and drift too, Xiao Xiao said seriously. I don't have time. Lin Yi frowned. It's fine, I won't learn then. Xiao Xiao smiled nonchalantly. Question mark. Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao in disbelief. What the hell? What the hell happened? When he left at noon, Xiao Xiao's cold face still had that angry look on it. What happened now? The night class was physics, and the teacher came in soon. Lin Yi didn't ask much, so he turned his head and started flipping through his physics book, ignoring Xiao Xiao. A smile formed on Xiao Xiao's lips, and she wanted to clench her fists and cheer. As expected, Lin Yi was amenable to coaxing, but not coercion. As long as she persisted, she wouldn't have to worry about not being able to capture Lin Yi's heart, and then she'd dump him. She'd let him know the consequences of messing with her. The whole class, Xiao Xiao was fantasizing about her future plans. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was very troubled, wondering why Xiao Xiao had become like this. From his past experience, Xiao Xiao had to be planning something big. The first time she gave him a drink, she didn't have any good intentions. She wanted him to go to the washroom so she could take pictures of him. This time, she probably wouldn't use the same cheap trick, so there shouldn't be anything wrong with the drink. It was just a way for Xiao Xiao to get on his good side. Pin Liang was very happy right now. He'd contacted a high-class beach through one of his father's business partners, and he'd be able to reserve the entire VIP area. He'd be able to show off to Meng Yao later. He'd already talked to the homeroom teacher, Ms. Liu, and was ready to announce the good news after school. The night class finally ended, and Ms. Liu walked in with Pin Liang walking up to the podium, very pleased with himself. Everyone calm down. Don't pack your bags yet. I have good news for you all. Ms. Liu was very supportive of Pin Liang sponsoring the class spring outing. There wasn't much time left in the 12th grade, and the students didn't have much time to play together. The tree planting event was something that many of them enjoyed so much that they forgot to go home. Pin Liang sponsoring a spring outing at this time made Ms. Liu's impression of Pin Liang improve quite a bit. This guy wasn't a spoiled young master who didn't know shit. As soon as they heard the good news, the noisy class immediately quieted down. Everyone stopped what they were doing and raised their heads to look at Teacher Liu. This weekend, our class will be organizing a spring excursion. The destination is the natural beach in Boundless City. Ms. Liu's voice had barely faded when the students started cheering. Going to the beach was much more interesting than planting trees, and the students who'd been suppressed for a long time were all excited. This excursion is organized and sponsored by Pin Liang. You don't have to pay a single cent. Just buy some snacks for yourselves. Ms. Liu said, "Let's give Pin Liang a round of applause to thank him for his contributions to our class." Ms. Liu was planning to give Pin Liang a scolding in a class meeting. This guy was too daring, setting fireworks on a tree. Wasn't he afraid of catching fire? But she couldn't say anything about it now. Yay! Many students were excited when they heard that it was free. After all, there weren't many students who came from rich families, and most of them had limited pocket money. All right, I'm done here. I'll introduce Pin Liang to you all when he's done with the spring excursion plan. Ms. Liu said, "You can go home now." The students who'd been hostile to Pin Liang were now looking at him with much friendlier gazes. Many of them even greeted him after school. Pin Liang was delighted. If he'd known that this would happen, he would have organized the excursion a long time ago. Not only would he be able to establish his reputation, but he'd also be able to please Meng Yao and Yu Shu. Why wouldn't he do it? When Meng Yao and Yu Shu walked out of the classroom, Pin Liang quickly ran after them. "Yao Yao, Shu, are you guys satisfied with my excursion?" Chapter 454. I want to eat Shark Ming Yao's face was expressionless, as if she hadn't heard Pin Liang's words at all. She didn't deny Yushu's words, either. Yushu had always been like this, always using his name to talk to that idiot Pin Liang, but Pin Liang never changed, falling for it every single time. "That's great. I'll be happy as long as Yao Yao's happy," Pin Liang said. "Right, I've booked a Golden Dragon bus, but Shu, why don't you and Yao Yao take my car? I'm driving my dad's Mercedes, and I just got my license last month." "You're driving a car just last month?" "Yao Yao and I won't take it. What if we get killed?" Yu Shu humphed. "Plus, who doesn't have a car? Yao Yao's car is a sports car. It's as good as your Mercedes." Pin Liang had wanted to show off a little, but Yu Shu's words made him speechless. He regretted not boasting about his license at all. Getting a driver's license while still a student was something to be envied by normal people, but it wasn't something new to Miss Meng Yao and Yu Shu. "Do you have a private plane?" "I don't need a car, but a plane is." Yu Shu blinked as she turned to Pin Liang. A plane?" Pin Liang's eyes went wide, a bitter smile on his face. "Do you know how much a private plane costs, Miss Meng Yao?" Even if his family was rich, they couldn't afford a private plane. A Boeing 757 cost tens of millions of dollars. What kind of joke was that? "It's fine if you don't have one, but Yao Yao gets carsick and can only take a plane. We won't be going, you bring the other students," Yu Shu said regretfully. Wah! Pin Liang almost tripped and fell to the ground. Not going just like that? Then why did he spend so much effort to invite his classmates to play? Wasn't he crazy? Pin Liang had organized this event for Ming Yao's sake. And if Ming Yao didn't go, what was the point? But a plane? Pin Liang suddenly had an idea. Shu, what do you think about renting a plane? Even if he couldn't afford to buy a plane, he could still charter one. It was said that a small private plane didn't cost much. If he changed it to a helicopter, it would be even cheaper. Oh, that's fine too. You can charter a seaplane. I want to land on the sea. Yushu's words almost made Pin Liang faint again. A seaplane. Pin Liang was getting a little dizzy. Can we book it? Sure. Why don't he go and ask? Yushu, on the other hand, wasn't lying. I heard there's a private seaplane service at the beach in Boundless City. I see. I'll go ask then. Pin Liang smiled bitterly and nodded. Why didn't he ask earlier? Now there was trouble. However, Pin Liang had no choice but to accept the fact that he had to win Ming Yao's heart. Yao Yao, what do you want to eat? I need to prepare in advance. Oh, we want to eat barbecued shark meat. It'd be best if it's freshly caught in the sea. Yushu said. Shark? Pin Liang blinked. His face turned even more bitter. Freshly caught shark? Who would dare catch a shark? That was like asking for his life. Pin Liang was getting more and more convinced that this trip to get on Meng Yao's good side wasn't going to be that easy. All right, we're leaving now. We'll text you when you're ready. Yushu pulled Meng Yao and left quickly after that. Pin Liang was left standing in the hallway with a bitter smile on his face. Xiaofu had been waiting for him. Liang bro, what's wrong? What else? It's not like you didn't hear what Yushu said. Renting a plane is fine as long as you can get it. But catching a shark? Isn't that a joke? Pin Liang sighed. Liang bro, that's not a joke. Xiaofu waved his hand. I thought you thought renting a plane was too expensive. You know what's going on with my family. My uncle isn't a shareholder of the school anymore, but my dad's business isn't affected. He's also connected with a big boss recently, so he doesn't lack money. As long as there's a charter service, it'll be fine. Pin Liang said. But catching a shark? Isn't that just suicide? Not suicide. Xiaofu smiled slyly. That's easy. When the time comes, Liang bro, we'll prepare a dead shark and put it at the bottom of the sea. I'll put on a shark fin and pretend to be a shark, and you'll pretend to come down and fight me. I'll pretend to be dead and sink to the bottom of the sea, and you can drag the dead shark to shore. That's right. Pin Liang's eyes lit up at Xiaofu's idea. He gave him a thumbs up. That's a brilliant idea. This was great. Didn't Meng Yao like strong, handsome men? I'll fight a shark and show off my manliness. Meng Yao won't fall for me then. Yeah, that's why it's not hard at all. Now I need to figure out how to charter a plane. Xiaofu wasn't good at other things, but he was good at dirty tricks. That's easy. I'll talk to my dad about it when I get back. Pin Liang's worries were solved, and he felt much more relaxed. He hummed a little tune as he walked out of the school with Xiaofu. Meng Yao, on the other hand, looked at Yushu helplessly. Shu, can you stop messing with Pin Liang? It's his fault for being an idiot. Yushu didn't care. Yao Yao, we're graduating soon. If we don't mess with this idiot a little, we won't be able to play with him in college. Play. You only know how to play all day long. You'll get into trouble sooner or later. Meng Yao glared. It's fine. With Shield Bro protecting us, I'm not scared of Pin Liang anymore. Yushu said happily. What's up with Lenny? Why is he with Xiao Xiao again? Meng Yao turned her head to see Xiao Xiao beside Lin Yi, giggling as she talked to Lenny. Oh, are you jealous, Yao Yao? Do you want to go scout and see what they're talking about? Yushu rubbed her palms together. No need. Meng Yao shook her head faintly. Who cares what he's doing? Let's go home. Sure, I want to go take a look. Yushu was curious. Then I'll go back myself. You think a way home. With that, Meng Yao opened the car door and got in. Wait for me. I'm not going. Yushu quickly got in the car after seeing that Meng Yao was angry, but her eyes couldn't help looking back. Chapter 455. Chapter 455. The beginning of a nightmare. Why are you following me? Lenny frowned as he looked at Xiao Xiao. Don't they all say that you're marked by the company you keep? Xiao Xiao said with a smile. It's fine if you don't teach me how to drive. Just let me stay by your side. You'll be able to subtly influence me, and I'll be more and more like you, and then I'll know how to drive. Lin, he was speechless at Xiao Xiao's reasoning. Do whatever you want then. I'm going home. With that, Lin, he turned to the food street behind the school, where he parked his car. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, was still following Lin Yi leisurely. Lin Yi frowned, worried that Mrs. Tang and Tang Yun would misunderstand. Can you follow me tomorrow? Can I go home with you? Xiao Xiao had made up her mind to follow Lin Yi, and so, no matter what Lin Yi said, she kept her voice soft. You don't want a car anymore? Lin Yi was a little speechless. Xiao Xiao's attitude made it impossible for him to get angry. If she were like before, Lin Yi could just send her flying with a kick. But now, he couldn't just kick this cute girl. I'll go home with you first, and then take the bus back to get it, Xiao Xiao said. Xiao Xiao, can you be a little more normal? Lin Yi couldn't take it anymore. If you keep acting like this, I won't come tomorrow. Then I won't go home with you. Don't not come. I still want to be by your side every day. Xiao Xiao quickly shook her head. Then I won't go home with you, all right? I'll be going first. Lin Yi finally got rid of Xiao Xiao, and he slapped his forehead in relief. Just what was wrong with this Xiao Xiao? Lin Yi didn't believe it at all. There had to be something else that people didn't know about. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that his nightmare had just begun. Who was that girl just now? Although Lin Yi was in a rush to get rid of Xiao Xiao, Tang Yun, who was helping her mother with the barbecue stall, still saw it. In actuality, Tang Yun saw Lin Yi the moment he arrived at the food street. She was hesitant to call out to him when she saw that there was a girl beside him. She pretended not to see him, but she was very nervous. Tang Yun couldn't help but ask after Xiao Xiao left. My desk mate, a new transfer student, Lin Yi said. Then why is she following you? Tang Yun felt that she was being a little narrow-minded by asking so many questions, but it was fine. Lin Yi was getting more and more outstanding, and Tang Yun was getting more and more afraid that Lin Yi would fall in love with someone else. I'm not familiar with the road. I don't know where I parked the car. I can't find it, Lin Yi said casually. I see. She drives to school too? Then her family must be pretty rich, right? Tang Yun was startled. If Xiao Xiao really wanted to compete with her, even she wouldn't be able to win. Who knows, but she saw me driving once and thought that I was good. So she wanted to learn from me. I don't have time to talk to her, Lin Yi said. Oh, I see. Tang Yun started to get nervous again after hearing Lin Yi's words. So Xiao Xiao was here for Lin Yi. This gave Tang Yun a faint sense of danger. Let's not talk about her. How's Ani's business? Lin Yi didn't want to talk about Xiao Xiao in front of Tang Yun. It's not bad. My income is 3 to 4 times what I used to be. That's around 10,000 a month. Tang Yun was very happy. This was the first time the family was making so much money. Then let's save some money and rent a storefront. We can open a barbecue shop. That way, we won't have to work so hard anymore. Lin Yi nodded. He could take out more money for Tang Yun's family to open a barbecue shop, but with Tang Yun's personality, she wouldn't accept it. That's what I was thinking, too. I don't want Mom to be exposed to the sun and the wind, but Mom said, it's too risky. She doesn't want to lose the money. Tang Yun blushed, she said. She said that she wants to save the money for my dowry. Dowry? Lin Yi blinked and smiled weirdly. Then I'll talk to Ani about it. I don't need that little dowry, so she doesn't need to save it. You? Tang Yun blinked as well, but reacted quickly. Her face reddened even more as she punched at Lin Yi. What are you talking about? I didn't say I wanted to marry you. Huh. Lin Yi held Tang Yun's hand. Auntie already agreed. After helping Tang Yun and Mrs. Tang for a while, the number of students gradually decreased. Lin Yi helped Mrs. Tang send the barbecue cart to the nearby warehouse, and then drove Mrs. Tang and Tang Yun to the slums. I heard that the slums are going to be relocated. Do you think we should ask for compensation or move back? Mrs. Tang couldn't make up her mind these days. Compensation was said to be a few $100,000, but they could also move back to a building similar to their current size. It was a good deal. It's okay if you want to move back. I don't know much about this. I'll ask someone for you another day. Lin Yi thought of Fatty Lai. Wasn't this guy in real estate? He would understand if he asked. However, with Fatty Lai's style, if he knew that Tang Yun was his girlfriend, he would probably give them a villa the next day. However, from Lin Yi's point of view, Tang Yun wouldn't accept it. That's fine, but it's just a rumor. It's hard to say if they'll even move. Mrs. Tang sighed. The last few times we wanted to move, it was because we didn't reach an agreement on the compensation. It's fine. If you need anything, just let me know. I have a friend in real estate. I'm sure he'll be able to help. Lin Yi said. After sending Tang Yun and Mrs. Tang to the slums, Lin Yi didn't get out of the car and drove straight back to Meng Yao's villa. Meng Yao didn't say anything about Lin Yi leaving early and returning late. She looked at him coldly and continued watching TV with Yushu. The next afternoon, Lin Yi, who had been tormented by Xiao Xiao the whole morning, was finally free. He planned to eat with Tang Yun in the cafeteria, but Xiao Xiao followed him out of the classroom. Why are you following me? I'm going to eat with Tang Yun. Lin Yi didn't expect this little tail to follow him. I'm going to eat too. Xiao Xiao blinked. It's a good opportunity to get to know your girlfriend. We'll be seeing each other often in the future. What do you mean? You want to be by my side every time I go on a date? Lin Yi's face turned green. Chapter 456. She couldn't take it anymore. Tang Yun's expression froze when she saw Lin Yi with Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi had explained it yesterday, but she was still worried. Why would she be worried about a guy? Tang Yun rubbed her temples. It was unbelievable, but it was the truth. If it were half a year ago, she would have scoffed at girls like this, worrying about a boyfriend cheating on her. Didn't that mean she wasn't attractive enough? Tang Yun felt that she wouldn't be like those girls, worrying all the time. But now the answer came so quickly. Tang Yun regretted making fun of people before. She shouldn't have. Mocking people for being inferior was the true. The ancients wouldn't lie to themselves. Lin Yi, you've been waiting for a long time? Tang Yun tried her best to look normal as she turned to Xiao Xiao. This is your new desk mate, right? Hello, I'm Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao put her hand out. I'm Lin Yi's admirer. Tang Yun paused, shaking Xiao Xiao's hand weirdly. Admirer? Yeah, he's really cool when driving. I want to learn from him, but he hasn't taught me yet. Xiao Xiao nodded generously. Is that so? Tang Yun frowned. What did she mean by admirer? Let's go, ignore her. Lin Yi didn't know what to say to Xiao Xiao. This girl was definitely up to no good, and Lin Yi didn't have the heart to kick her, but he didn't want to talk to her either. Oh, Tang Yun felt much better after hearing Lin Yi's words, and her attitude towards Xiao Xiao wasn't as hostile anymore. We're going to eat? See you next time. No need. I'm going to the cafeteria too. Let's go together. Xiao Xiao said passionately, not caring that she'd become a third wheel. Tang Yun wanted to say something, but didn't. She stood to the right of Lin Yi, and Xiao Xiao stood to the left of Lin Yi. The two of them sandwiched Lin Yi, one on the left and one on the right. Tang Yun, have you ever seen your husband drive? He's really handsome. Xiao Xiao turned to Tang Yun. Hubby? Tang Yun paused but got a little angry. She wasn't angry because Xiao Xiao said Lin Yi was her husband, but because Xiao Xiao was being so vague. She didn't add you in front of the word husband and directly said this word. Those who didn't know would think that Lin Yi was her husband, or that they had the same husband. But Tang Yun didn't want to correct her. What if it was a slip of the tongue? If he were to say it out loud, wouldn't it be very embarrassing? So he said, yes, but if you want to learn how to drive, it's best if you go to a driving school. I have a driver's license. I just want to learn drifting, Xiao Xiao said. When they got to the cafeteria, Lin Yi found a table for two in order to get rid of Xiao Xiao. This way, Xiao Xiao wouldn't be able to sit with him, and Xiao Xiao indeed hadn't sat here before. She went to the food counter and lined up. Lin Yi, what's going on with that Xiao Xiao? She looks like she's really clingy. Tang Yun asked casually. What, jealous? Lin Yi could guess what she was thinking just by looking at her face. Jealous? Jealous? I'm not. Tang Yun naturally wouldn't admit it. I just think she's an idiot. Huh? Lin Yi smiled. What do you want to eat? I'll go buy it. Whatever, one meat and one vegetable. Just do as you see fit. Tang Yun wasn't a picky eater. She had a simple lunch with Lin Yi, 2 dishes for the two of them. It wasn't a waste. Lin Yi wasn't a picky eater either, so he usually went to whichever counter had the least customers. The dishes he bought were random as well. There weren't many people at the stir-fried garlic and steamed pork ribs, so Lin Yi bought one and brought it back. The two were just about to eat when they saw Xiao Xiao dragging a chair over with a big plate in her hand. She came to Lin Yi's table and placed it on it, adding a chair to the side of the table. The cafeteria was very crowded during peak hours, and so there were some folding chairs at the side of the cafeteria for extra seats when there were too many people. He didn't expect Xiao Xiao to drag a chair over herself. "Linny, I bought you braised chicken drumsticks. They're really good. Here you go," Xiao Xiao said as she put the chicken drumsticks in front of him. What? Linny didn't think that Xiao Xiao would buy him a drumstick. Wasn't she trying to make him feel uncomfortable? Tang Yin was already feeling a little jealous. What was this girl playing at? "Eat it. It's really good," Xiao Xiao said with a smile as she looked at Linny. "I heard from Pin Liang that the drumsticks and lamb chops in the cafeteria are really good, but the lamb chops have to be made on the spot. I ordered one, but it'll take a while. You can eat the drumsticks first." Lin Yi couldn't take it anymore. Lin Yi didn't do anything to Xiao Xiao because she was a girl, but now that she kept doing weird things, Lin Yi couldn't take it anymore. "Xiao Xiao, are you done or not?" Lin Yi glared at Xiao Xiao. You're so mean to me." Xiao Xiao jumped at Lin Yi. Her eyes reddened as tears fell down. "Woo, why are you so mean to me? I just worship you, and I want to get on your good side. I want you to teach me how to drive. What's wrong with that?" "Woo." Lin Yi looked at the pitiful Xiao Xiao in shock. He couldn't believe his eyes. Was this the same Xiao Xiao who was grinding her teeth, trying to take pictures of him and blow him up with firecrackers? She didn't even cry when he blew her up, and now she was crying just because he yelled at her? Tang Yin had been annoyed at Xiao Xiao for being so stupid. She finally had some alone time with Lin Yi, and Xiao Xiao came over to be the third wheel. But now that she saw Xiao Xiao looking so wronged, Tang Yun's heart softened. Did she really only worship Lin Yi? Or did she have other thoughts? But worship was hard to explain, and it could easily turn into affection. That was why Tang Yun was so hostile toward Xiao Xiao. But now, she felt pity for her. "Linny, can you talk to her and make her stop crying? Why don't you teach her? Don't get tricked by her. This girl likes to act." Linny curled his lips and steeled his heart, ignoring Xiao Xiao. Chapter 457. Wasting her strength, Xiao Xiao wiped her tears away and stopped crying, but she didn't leave. She propped her chin on her hand and stared at Lin Yi, her eyes filled with infatuation and tenderness. Xiao Xiao's gaze made Lin Yi a little uneasy, and Tang Yun felt even more uncomfortable. What was going on? Lin Yi was her boyfriend, and now there was an admirer sitting next to him, staring at Lin Yi. "How about you stop eating?" "Xiao Xiao, you're not eating?" Tang Yin couldn't help but ask. She couldn't kick her out, but she couldn't just let her stare at Lin Yi like this, could she? "Nope, I'm happier watching Lin Yi eat than eating myself," Xiao Xiao murmured. "You?" Tang Yin didn't know what to say at all. It wasn't easy for them to get through this awkward moment in the cafeteria, and Lin Yi pulled Tang Yin out. "Can you not let her come next time?" Tang Yin couldn't help but say to Lin Yi. "I feel weird with her beside me. I can't even eat. You think I want her to come?" Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Tang Yin pouted unhappily, but there was nothing she could do about it. She wanted to say something, but she didn't want Lin Yi to think that she was being petty. Tang Yin was starting to get annoyed with herself. Why was she getting more and more worried? Where was her courage? She could mock Lin Yi and even step on his feet, but now she had to think before she did anything. Was she really afraid that Xiao Xiao would steal Lin Yi from her? What was she thinking? Tang Yun was a little embarrassed as she scolded herself. She didn't want to think about all this nonsense anymore. There were only a few more months until the college entrance exams, but because of her family and Lin Yi, she had just finished revising her second year's curriculum. She still had the third year's curriculum to study, otherwise she wouldn't make it in time. She hurried back to the classroom and started reading the 12th grade textbooks, throwing all the random thoughts to the back of her mind. Xiao Xiao bought a drink for Lin Yi when she got back to class. "Lin Yi, this is a new fruit tea. It looks really good, so I bought 2 bottles. Do you want to try it?" Xiao Xiao, what are you thinking? Lin took the drink from Xiao Xiao's hand, but didn't drink it, putting it aside. Nothing much. I just want to be by your side. Xiao Xiao said seriously. I won't tease you anymore, don't worry. Okay. Lin nodded. Lin heard Xiao Xiao's nonsensical words and knew that it was pointless to talk anymore. He decided to just ignore her. Lin thought that Xiao Xiao was just a newbie for 2.5 days. If he ignored her and stopped her from carrying out her plan, she'd get bored and leave. He didn't think that Xiao Xiao would maintain this attitude for a few days, following wherever Lin went. She waited at the door when Lin went to the washroom, and when Lin went to find Tang Yun, she followed him. Tang Yun almost gritted her teeth as she started to suspect Xiao Xiao's motives. Pin Liang really did manage to get a private seaplane from the beach club. It was expensive, costing tens of thousands of yuan per flight, but it wasn't much to Pin Liang. It was much cheaper than buying a plane, wasn't it? He didn't mind spending a bit more money to please Meng Yao, either. The plane wasn't big, but it was more than enough to fit all 40 people in the class. Pin Liang didn't bother looking for a bus. It was the same for one person, and it was the same for 40 people. The charter fee was fixed. When Pin Liang announced that he was going to use the private plane to take everyone to the beach, the class went wild again. But be careful when you bring your personal belongings. Don't bring anything flammable or explosive. Ms. Liu started reading out the security rules. The security on a private plane wasn't as strict as normal security, but some dangerous items weren't allowed. In order to avoid trouble, Ms. Liu had to warn everyone beforehand. Most of the students didn't bring anything dangerous, so after hearing what Ms. Liu said, they didn't think it had anything to do with them. But Pin Liang had to change his plans. He was going to bring a barbecue grill and some charcoal to the beach for an outdoor barbecue. But since they weren't allowed to bring a fire source on the plane, Pin Liang couldn't bring those things. Xiaofu, looks like the barbecue plan has to be put on hold. Meng Yao wants to barbecue shark meat. How are we going to get it for them? Pin Liang asked. Liang bro, I heard there's a new type of barbecue grill. Maybe we should get one? Xiaofu suggested. It doesn't seem that expensive, only a few hundred. Really? That's not bad. Go get one. I'll leave this to you. Pin Liang calmed down at Xiaofu's words. Saturday morning, Pin Liang and Xiaofu arrived at school with bags of stuff. They'd planned to meet at the school gates, and the whole class would get on the bus to the airport. Pin Liang wanted to drive, but Meng Yao and Yushu were taking the bus, and he didn't want to be special. He told his father's driver to go back first, and waited for the bus with his classmates. Xiao Xiao was wearing sunglasses, a hat, and a small backpack. She looked like a traveling girl, pretty and cute. She attracted a lot of attention. Most of the boys' attention had been on Meng Yao and Yushu before, but now that Xiao Xiao had joined them, a part of the attention was taken away. Xiao Xiao was standing beside Lin making everyone jealous and envious, but Lin didn't seem to care at all. All the boys had the urge to step up and take his place. Lin, I brought a lot of good food. Xiao Xiao turned her head, her face flushed with excitement and happiness. Oh, Lin replied flatly. I don't know how to swim. Can you teach me? Xiao Xiao didn't lie to Lin this time. She really didn't know how to swim. Oh, is that so? Lin said faintly. I don't know how to swim either. Chapter 458. The consequences will be dire. The bus is here. Lin reminded Xiao Xiao, ignoring her as he walked towards the bus. Xiao Xiao had no choice but to follow them, huffing and puffing. After getting in the car, she sat next to Lin without even thinking about what was going on. It was supposed to be Xiaobo's seat, but Xiaobo didn't say anything when he saw that Xiao Xiao had taken it. He could only sit somewhere else. Liang bro, how do you think Xiao Xiao's going to deal with Lin? She looks like she's in love with Lin. Xiaofu had been paying attention to Lin Yi's movements for the past couple of days, so naturally he knew about Xiao Xiao's situation. Who knows? Pin Liang was a little troubled. Maybe she's going to go all out? Let's just ignore her. It's great that she's willing to deal with Lin Yi. So Lin, you won't come looking for trouble with us. My priority right now is to deal with Meng Yao before the college entrance exams. That's true. Who cares about them? Xiaofu nodded as well. Liang bro, the sharp plan is ready. We can execute it any time. Yeah, well done. Pin Liang patted Xiaofu's shoulder. I'm sure Ming Yao's impression of me will change drastically after this. Inside the floating cloud bar, Sihua had a meeting with two very influential people in Songshan, Zhou Qiandi and Zhong Fabai. Sihua walked the underworld and was known as the boss of Songshan's underworld, but his underlings were all elites. There weren't any thugs from the streets. Sihua's business was big, and he didn't need those low-level gangsters to collect protection fees or whatnot. He'd always been involved in the high-end business of the underworld, like smuggling, drug trafficking, and this time, he was working with Jiangwen to sell human organs. These were all big deals, much more profitable than collecting protection fees and the like. Other than Sihua, there were two other powerful people in Songshan. One was Zhou Qiandi, and the other was Zhong Fabai. One of them was in the entertainment business, while the other was in the hotel business. Both of them had a lot of henchmen working for them, especially Zhou Tiandi's eldest son, Zhou Ruoguang. He was the head of the North District. Sihua didn't care about what they were playing with, and Fabai and Zhou Tiandi didn't have the ability to play with things as advanced as Sihua, so they didn't interfere with each other's business. But this time, Sihua had no choice but to cooperate with these two. The first person Sihua talked to was Zhou Tiandi, because as far as he was concerned, Tiandi was much stronger than Fabai. Tiandi's son was the boss of the North District. Brother Tiandi, I'm really sorry to have made you rush over so early in the morning. Sihua had a favor to ask of Tiandi now, so his attitude was much warmer than before. Tiandi's arrival was reported to him by his underlings, and he quickly stood up to welcome him. This young master is... Sihua bro, this is my son, Zhou Ruoguang. I brought him here to see the world. Tiandi was a little disappointed in his eldest son, Zhou Ruoguang. That guy was a pushover, not even as good as his younger son, Zhou Ruoguang. As a result, Zhou Ruoguang's successor was most likely going to be his younger son. Tiandi changed his strategy and decided not to let Zhou Ruoguang study blindly. Instead, he was preparing to train him as his successor. Oh, so it's young Master Zhou. Haha, you're quite the talent. Sihua nodded with a smile. Thank you for the compliment, Uncle Sihua. Zhou Ruoguang was, without a doubt, very excited. His father was finally willing to train him, and this was his first time out, and he was bringing him to meet such an important person. As for Sihua, Zhou Ruoguang had heard of him a long time ago. He was the big boss of Songshan's underworld. Sihua bro, I wonder if you have any business with me? Tiandi and Sihua had always minded their own business, so their relationship wasn't too bad. Tiandi bro, let's not beat around the bush. I'm here today because I have a business with you. Sihua didn't beat around the bush. They were both in the underworld, after all, and there was no need to beat around the bush. Oh, what kind of business? Tiandi had been depressed for the past couple of days. Linny had said that he wouldn't bother them anymore, but he was still worried. Now that there was business, he felt a little better. I'm sure you know who I am, Sihua said with a smile. One of the juniors of the big boss behind me wants to start a real estate company here, but he's lacking some manpower. Would you be interested, Tiandi bro? Manpower? You mean... Tiandi paused. Wouldn't his family's business skyrocket if he could form a relationship with the big boss behind Sihua? But the point was, what did the guy see in him? Tiandi knew his own limitations. He was an expert in the entertainment business, but he'd never been in the real estate business before. Demolition. Sihua smiled. You know that we'll need some tricks if we want to get a demolition done at a low price. I don't have the manpower to do that, so I wanted to work with you. Tiandi bro. Demolition? That's not a problem. Tiandi let out a breath of relief. Demolition wasn't easy at all. Wouldn't it be enough to let Zhou Ruoguang lead a group of people to threaten those relocated households? So you're saying that you'll agree to this, Tiandi bro? Sihua was quite confident in this. After all, it wasn't a difficult job for Tiandi, and it should be something he was good at. It shouldn't be a problem. Tiandi nodded. Which piece of land does the young master want to develop? The slums, Sihua said. It's a big area. It'll be very promising. Oh, the slums? That's a good place. No problem. Tianyi was about to agree when Zhou Ruoming pulled him back. Dad, we can't do this. Zhou Ruoming was afraid that his father would agree on impulse. Ruoming, what are you doing? Tianyi paused, a little displeased. What's wrong with you, kid? Aren't you usually quite brave? Why are you afraid to do illegal things now? Dad, listen to me. I don't dare do things that aren't illegal. It's Tang Yun. She lives in the slums. Zhou Ruoming explained, panicking. He'd been pursuing Tang Yun, and naturally, he'd done a lot of research on her family background. It was normal that he knew she lived in the slums. Chapter 459. Chapter 459. Occupied, what if he was stupid enough to bulldoze Tang Yin's house? He'd probably end up in the morgue the next day, wouldn't he? Even someone as strong as Yin Shiyuan was taken care of by Lin Yi. What else could he do against Lin Yi? Tianyi wasn't afraid of offending Sihua at this point. The worst that could happen was that their relationship would worsen. It wasn't a big deal. Tianyi stood up abruptly. Sihua, bro, I can't do this. You should find someone else. I'm sorry. With that, Tianyi pulled Zhou Ruoming away without another word. What he was afraid of was what would happen if Lin Yi found out that he was planning to demolish Tang Yin's house with Sihua. What if Lin Yi came looking for trouble? Tianyi cursed his unluck. He shouldn't have come if he'd known about this. Sihua frowned as he watched Tianyi and Tianyi's disappearing silhouettes. What the hell was that? Is there something wrong with him? I'm asking you guys out of respect. It's fine if you don't want the money. Sihua, bro, I heard them mention a name. Maybe it's someone they know. Jiaonong said, let's not bother with them. Call Zhong Fabai over. Time waits for no man. Master Bing will be here soon. We need to get the real estate company up and running before he gets here. Sihua said, right, how's Jin Gubon? He's registered a real estate company himself, and he's planning to give all the shares to Master Bing. Jiaonong said, he's pretty smart. Let's leave him 10% of the shares and let him stay as the CEO of the company. Sihua said after some thought. Master Bing's just playing around. He needs someone to help him manage the company. He's Zhong Fabai's relative. It'll be easy to use him. All right, I'll talk to Jin Gubong later. Jiaonong nodded and went to call Zhong Fabai. Fabai, on the other hand, didn't have as many concerns as Tianyi. He was looking for a new backer now that Gubong was gone, and Fabai agreed without a second thought when he heard that Sihua wanted to recruit him and Gubong to run this real estate company, and that it was for the nephew of the boss behind the scenes. Due to the specifications of the private seaplane, it didn't have a luggage compartment, so it couldn't be checked in. Some dangerous goods weren't allowed to be brought onto the plane. After going through the security check, the class boarded the plane under the guidance of Teacher Liu. It was the first time for many students to take a plane, and their eyes were full of novelty and excitement. Even if they had taken a plane before, they had never taken an amphibious plane, so no matter who it was, they were very excited. In this kind of small plane, the front was better, but the seats near the back would be very bumpy. Fortunately, after the class sat on the plane, only the first few rows were filled, and there were only some luggage in the back. Pinyang and Xiaofu were getting ready to sit in the luxurious seats at the front. The first row was very spacious, and there were 4 seats in total. 2 were for Meng Yao and Yu Shu, and the other 2 were for Pin Liang himself. Pin Liang and Xiaofu were just about to sit down after putting down their luggage when someone behind them pushed them, almost causing them to fall. Move aside, don't block the way. It was Lin Yi, who was already sitting in the seat that used to be Pin Liang's. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, followed Lin Yi and sat in Xiaofu's seat. Pin Liang's face turned green. He wanted to shoo Lin Yi away, but he didn't dare. He wanted to shoo Xiao Xiao away, but he didn't dare either. Just when he was at a loss as to what to do, Yu Shu spoke up. Liang Yi, Yao Yao said that she likes brave guys. Only those who can sit at the back of the plane without a change in expression or heart palpitations are the bravest. Yu Shu, naturally, didn't want Pin Liang to sit in the front. She wanted to see what would happen between Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao, so she found an excuse to shoo Pin Liang away. Is that so? Pin Liang found a way out of Yu Shu's words. Xiaofu, let's sit at the back then. The first row is for cowardly men. There was only one man in the first row, Lin Yi, so Pinliang's words were directed at Lin Yi. But he regretted it immediately. Wasn't he just being a prick? Why did he have to say that? Pinliang let out a sigh of relief when he saw that Lin Yi didn't seem to be looking for trouble. He quickly walked to the back of the cabin with Xiaofu and sat down at the very back. Since it was a low-altitude private plane, there wouldn't be too much of a conflict with commercial airliners. It didn't take long for the plane to take off. Pinliang and Xiaofu had never been on a private plane like this before. They thought that the back of the plane would be the same as a commercial airliner, but Pinliang only realized how uncomfortable it was when they took off. The seat was as bumpy as it could get, and Pinliang's face turned scarily pale. Xiaofu wasn't much better off either. Liang bro, maybe we should sit closer to the front? This is too uncomfortable. Xiaofu couldn't take it anymore. You can go if you want to. What would Meng Yao think of me if I went? She'd think I'm a coward, wouldn't she? Pinliang was uncomfortable as well, but he gritted his teeth and persevered. He'd already said that he'd be a laughingstock if he backed out now. Pinliang was a laughingstock now, but he didn't want more of them. If he could still grit his teeth and persevere, then so be it. He only wanted to get to the beach as soon as possible. Pinliang wasn't leaving, and Xiaofu couldn't either. He could only endure it. It was his first time on a plane, and he didn't have much experience. Naturally, he was worse than Pinliang, and he didn't bother with Xiao Xiao either. No matter what she said, Lin Yi only replied with, "Oh, and is that so?" These meaningless words made Xiao Xiao very depressed. Shu, what do you think Xiao Xiao's up to? Meng Yao had noticed that something was wrong with Xiao Xiao these past few days. I don't know, but I think she's in love with Shield Bro. Why else would she be so nice to Shield Bro? Yushu mumbled as she chewed on her snacks. She's into Lin Yi? How's that possible? Isn't she trying to cause trouble for Lin Yi? Meng Yao frowned as she humphed coldly. Lin Yi wasn't some kind of hot steam bun. Why would anyone be into him? Are you jealous, Yao Yao? Yushu giggled. Me? What does it have to do with me? Meng Yao humphed, not caring about what Lin Yi said. Chapter 460. She threw up? Ate again? Meng Yao hesitated, a slight frown on her face. Why don't you go listen then? Oh, okay. Yushu said with a smile. But Yushu pricked up her ears for a long time, unable to hear what Xiao Xiao and Lin Yi were talking about. Why weren't they talking either? Lin Yi closed his eyes and pretended to doze off. Xiao Xiao said a few words to Lin Yi, and since he wasn't paying attention, she could only listen to her MP3 player. Shield Bro. Yushu wasn't worried that Xiao Xiao would hear what she called Lin Yi, since she knew about her relationship with Lin Yi. She wouldn't have waited until now if she'd wanted to. Lin Yi opened his eyes and looked at Yushu, confused. It's nothing. Yushu thought that Lin Yi was asleep, so she wanted to wake him up and listen to his conversation with Xiao Xiao. Now that Lin Yi was awake, she was fine. Question mark. Lin Yi looked at Yushu, confused, and shook his head. Lin Yi, are you hungry? I have some biscuits here. Xiao Xiao asked, seeing that Lin Yi wasn't pretending to be asleep anymore. Oh, eat it yourself. Lin Yi replied, faintly, as he looked out the window. Xiao Xiao pouted. What was that supposed to mean? He'd answer whenever Yushu called him, and ignore her when she talked to him. Hey, how much do they pay you? What do you mean how much? Lin Yi blinked. Aren't you their follower and bodyguard? How much do they pay you every month? Xiao Xiao asked. Tens of thousands, I guess. Lin Yi said vaguely. Tens of thousands. Xiao Xiao was startled. Why was it so much money? Her family was rich, but her allowance was only 10,000 a month. She wanted to say that she'd hire Lin Yi twice the amount of money Meng Yao was paying him, but she couldn't bring herself to say it now. Bullshit, she said hatefully. Huh. Lin Yi could guess what Xiao Xiao was thinking. I work for her father. Follower is just a guest. Oh. Xiao Xiao nodded. It wasn't impossible for Pingzhan to spend that much money if it was him. Xiao Xiao, if you want to learn how to drive, I don't have much time right now, so you don't have to follow me all the time. There's no point in following me, Lin Yi said, wanting to make things clear. No, it's fine if you don't want to teach me. I just want you to influence me. Xiao Xiao said. That way, I'll be more and more like you. Lin, he was taken aback. What kind of bullshit theory was that? Imperceptible influence? He was speechless. Do what you want then. Knowing that Xiao Xiao wouldn't get through to him, Lin, he didn't bother with the bullshit. Follow her if she wanted to. She'd probably get annoyed after a few days anyway. All right. Xiao Xiao was very happy that Lin Yi agreed. Her eyes turned into crescents. Here's a biscuit. Lin Yi took the biscuit and put it on the table in front of him. I heard it. Yushu lowered her voice to Meng Yao. And what did they say? Meng Yao asked. Xiao Xiao told Shield Bro to teach her how to drive, so she follows him every day. Yushu said, I see. Let her do what she wants then. Meng Yao naturally lost interest after hearing that Xiao Xiao was just going to Lin Yi to learn how to drive. Xiaofu's face was getting paler and paler. He couldn't take it anymore. Liang Bro, I can't take it anymore. I want to throw up. Hold it in a little longer. We're almost there. Pin Liang wanted to throw up as well, but he was in a better state than Xiaofu. He often traveled on planes, and he'd even been on those smaller planes before. They were better than this, but not by much. I can't take it anymore. I really can't take it anymore. Xiaofu yelled suddenly. Waiter, open the window. I'm going to throw up. Xiaofu's yelling attracted the attention of the students in front of him, and Pin Liang felt his face heat up. How embarrassing. He wanted to kick Xiaofu off the plane. This is a plane, not a car. The window's sealed. I can't open it. Then what do we do? I'm going to throw up. Xiaofu panicked. Hold it in. Just hold it in for a little while. Pin Liang raged. Blurg, blurg. Xiaofu quickly covered his mouth with his hand, holding it in for a while before letting out a sigh of relief. Pho, you can hold it in? Pin Liang breathed in relief after seeing that Xiaofu wasn't throwing up anymore. I did, but I swallowed it back down. Xiaofu said. Blurg. Pin Liang's stomach churned. He swallowed it back down again. Why was it so disgusting? Pin Liang had been able to hold it in at first, but he couldn't hold it in anymore after what Xiaofu was doing. He opened his mouth and wanted to puke, but when he looked up, he saw that everyone in the class was looking at Xiaofu, as well as Yushu. He was in a difficult position, but the thing in his stomach was already in his throat. He had no choice but to spit it out, just like Xiaofu did. Pin Liang made up his mind and spat it out, then swallowed it back. Burp. Pin Liang burped and waved at Yushu with a smile on his face. Look at me, I'm fine. That Xiaofu guy just can't do it. Pin Liang sighed in relief after seeing that no one could tell. Pin Liang finally let out a sigh of relief. He was the smartest one of them all. Even though he swallowed back what he was about to spit out, no one could tell. Liang Bro, my stomach's not feeling well. I want to have a bowel movement, Xiaofu said after a while. Why are you so troublesome? Why do you feel like throwing up and having a bowel movement? Pin Liang was starting to panic. You can't blame me, Liang Bro. I didn't manage to spit it out, so I swallowed it back down. Of course I have to poop, Xiaofu said weakly. There's a washroom up front. Go yourself, Pin Liang said helplessly. Xiaofu sprinted into the washroom. Pin Liang was starting to regret letting Xiaofu sit at the back of the plane as well. It was ruining his image. But why was his stomach so uncomfortable? Pin Liang froze abruptly. He'd swallow the thing back down. Was he going to have a bowel movement as well? Pin Liang jumped at the thought and ran to the washroom. He only remembered that Xiaofu was still inside when he reached the door. He knocked on the door. Xiaofu, hurry up. Liang Bro, what's wrong? Xiaofu said weakly. I need to use the washroom too. Hurry up. Pin Liang said urgently. I'm pooping right now, Xiaofu said. Chapter 461. Here comes the shark. Xiaofu was panicking, but he couldn't just pull up his pants in the middle of his diarrhea, could he? Liang Bro, wait a minute, I'll be done soon. Pin Liang was panicking. The toilet was right in front of the first row. Wasn't Xiaofu trying to ruin his image on purpose? It was one thing for him to go straight into the toilet, but Meng Yao would definitely laugh at him if he had to hold his stomach and walk around like that. Wouldn't she? Pin Liang let out a loud fart, feeling a little embarrassed. His face reddened as he snuck a glance at Meng Yao. It stinks, Yao Yao, I'm going to faint. Yushu jumped up waving her hand around. Liangi, hurry up and stuff a fart stopper. Are you trying to suffocate me in Yao Yao? Pinliang's fart was only heard by the students in the first few rows, but Yushu's words made him the center of attention in the cabin. Pinliang was panicking. He was just about to explain when his butt popped out uncontrollably again. This time, he'd pooped out of his pants due to his excitement. Pinliang, are you doing this on purpose? Yushu was going crazy as she pinched her nose and ran to the back. It was too smelly. Mengyao frowned in disgust as well. She didn't know what Pinliang was doing, not stopping even after getting on the plane. She stood up and followed Yushu. Xiao Xiao was in the middle of eating a biscuit when she spat it out. She subconsciously ran to the back as well. Lin, he didn't mind. Lin, he had lived in smellier places than this before, but Pinliang's actions were indeed disgusting. Since the mist was gone, Lin, he stood up and followed. Xiaofu finally came out of the toilet, and Pinliang ran in with his hands on his crotch. The sound of running water came from the toilet. Pinliang didn't bring a change of pants, so he had to wash them in the toilet. But before the plane landed, Pinliang didn't have the nerve to come out of the toilet. Pinliang was the one who organized the event, so even though everyone thought it was funny to see him in a wet pair of pants, they didn't laugh at him. Pinliang was comforted by that. I'm sorry, Liang bro, I didn't do it on purpose. Xiaofu apologized, a little embarrassed that he'd messed things up. Forget it. Pinliang looked at his only subordinate and didn't know what to say. He waved his hand and said generously, just do your best to pretend to be a shark later. Don't worry, I practiced several times in the bathtub at home. There won't be a problem. Gao Xiaofu patted his chest confidently. Pinliang nodded. Whether or not he could save his face would depend on this. If the glorious image of him fighting the shark was seen by everyone, the incident of him pooping his pants would be nothing. The plane landed on the dedicated water parking lane in the VIP area of the beach. After the plane stopped, a speedboat came over and sent the students on the plane to the beach. Pinliang had booked the entire VIP area, so there weren't any other visitors here. The water was very clear, and between the beach and the water was a shallow area of pebbles and sand. There were some sea snails, crabs, and fishes in the water. It seemed like the water here was quite nice. Lin, he wasn't in a hurry to change into his swimsuit like the other students. He sat on the beach, quietly watching the little creatures in the water. It was rare to see water this clear in the city and tourist areas. Lin, he felt like he was back home. When he was young, Lin, E, and Air Gooden would often play at the beach. Of course, Old Man forced Lin, E to train in the water most of the time, and Air Gooden. Lin, he really doubted his body structure. It was hard for him to keep his balance in the waves, but that guy was like an iron tower. Why don't you go change into your swimsuit? Xiao Xiao saw that Lin, he was sitting on the beach, spacing out. She followed him, curious. Why would I change into a swimsuit if I don't know how to swim? Lin, he said faintly. Why don't you go? I want to be by your side. Xiao Xiao said matter-of-factly. Lin, he shook his head. His thoughts were interrupted, and he turned his attention to the girl who had changed into her swimsuit. An 18-year-old girl with a petite body had already matured. This was a good opportunity for his eyes to feast on. He wondered what the Miss and Yushu would look like in their swimsuits. Compared to Ming Yao, Lin, he was more excited to see Yushu in her swimsuit. He'd seen pictures of them in swimsuits, but it wasn't as good as seeing them in person. But what disappointed Lin, was that Ming Yao and Yushu didn't change into their swimsuits. Instead, they set up a sun umbrella on the beach and sat under it, taking out the snacks from their bags. Were these two girls here for a picnic? It made sense. Ming Yao and Yushu went to the beach quite a lot, and his computer's hard drive was filled with pictures of the two, many of which were taken at the beach. There don't seem to be any sharks here, Yushu said, disappointed as she looked at the calm water. This is a tourist area. Of course there won't be sharks. Ming Yao said, that Liangi, how dare he lie to me? He even roasted shark meat for me. I don't believe him anymore. Yushu said angrily. Even if there was shark meat, would you dare eat it? Ming Yao said, curling her lips. Ugh. Yushu felt disgusted at the memory of Pinliang pulling up his pants on the plane. She wouldn't dare eat shark meat if Pinliang really did roast it for her, would she? Xiaofu saw that most of the students had gone into the water, and so he tied the shark fins on his back and dove into the water quietly. He circled around the water a couple of times, panicking when he realized that no one was paying attention to him. He didn't dare get too close to the other students, as the water in the shallow water was very clear. He'd be discovered if he got too close. But he couldn't just shout, "I'm a shark. A shark is coming." Could he? Pinliang was panicking as well. He wanted to be the hero of the shark fight, so he couldn't be the one to discover the shark first. It'd be best if someone else discovered it first, scaring the other students to the shore so that Pinliang could show off his skills and kill the shark. Chapter 462. Little Shu fights the shark. Yushu's shout caught the attention of the students in the water, and they all looked up to see a shark fin floating in the water. Meng Yao jumped in fright as she looked in the direction Yushu was pointing. There was indeed a shark fin floating around in the water. Isn't this the swimming area? Why is there a shark here? I opened up a hole in the barrier earlier, and the shark swam in. Pinliang ran over to Yushu and Meng Yao, trying to take credit for what he'd done. It wasn't bullshit. He'd swum to the safe zone to prevent Yushu from seeing through his act and opened up a big hole in the barrier. Of course, Pinliang wasn't afraid of a real shark either, since the chances of that happening were too low. Unless the smell of blood attracted the shark. Why else would a shark come here? Oh, that's great. We finally have shark meat to eat. Good job, Liangyi. Yushu patted Pinliang on the shoulder happily, but turned to him worriedly. I say, Liangyi, you wash yourself clean, right? You don't smell bad, do you? No, I've been in the water for so long. I only smell salty. Pinliang explained, embarrassed. That's more like it, Yushu said, but she still moved a little further away. The students in the water were all scared out of their wits at the sight of the shark, and they ran to the shore in a panic. It didn't take long before there was no one else in the water except for the shark. Xiaofu swam closer, too, and Pinliang was rubbing his palms together, ready to fight the shark when Yushu ran over first. Shu, where are you going? It's dangerous. Meng Yao jumped in fright at Yushu's actions as she called out to her. It's fine, I'll go take a look. Yushu wasn't afraid of sharks. The last time Lin had brought her along, she'd been able to kill a shark. Sharks weren't that bad after all, and should be easy to kill. She wanted to see if she could do it. Yeah, Shu. Don't go there, it's too dangerous. Let me catch this shark. Pinliang was afraid that Yushu would notice something if she got too close. But Yushu didn't listen to Pinliang at all. She ran straight to the beach, and Pinliang had no choice but to jump into the sea first. He was afraid that Yushu would jump into the sea too. Lin Yi, on the beach not too far away, raised his head to look at the shark in the sea, then at Yushu before lowering his head, ignoring them. Hey, aren't you their bodyguard and follower? There's a shark in the water. Why aren't you protecting Yushu? Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi curiously. Isn't there Zhong, Pinliang? I won't be going. Lin Yi smiled. Him? Xiao Xiao thought that Lin Yi would rush up and expose his relationship with Meng Yao and Yushu, but Lin Yi didn't seem to have any intention of going. He'll run faster than a rabbit if there's danger. Huh. If you know that, then why would I go? Pinliang would have run if there was danger. Does he look like he's in danger? Lin Yi asked. It doesn't look like it. Xiao Xiao nodded. Plus, is that a shark? Lin Yi smiled coldly. Did sharks swim like that? And it could even move horizontally? Wasn't that shark a little too strong? Not a shark? Then what is it? Xiao Xiao blinked, not understanding what Lin Yi meant. You'll know when you see it. Lin Yi wasn't sure what was in the sea, but it didn't look like it was controlled by a machine. It looked more like a person. Pinliang jumped into the sea and pointed at the shark. How dare you, shark? How dare you come here? Die. Wow, I didn't think Pinliang would be this brave, fighting a shark. The students on the shore praised, making Pinliang feel a little smug. Shu, let's get further away. It's too dangerous here. Meng Yao pulled Yushu away from the shore. Watch me, Yao Yao. Yushu wasn't scared at all. She pulled out a giant pebble from the sea and called out. Liangyi, get out of the way. Pinliang jumped in fright, and turned around to see a giant oval object flying at him. He dodged instinctively, and the object hit the shark in the sea with a bang. Gao Xiaofu let out a blood-curdling scream as the pebble smashed into his forehead. Blood gushed out from his forehead and instantly dyed the nearby seawater red. Yeah, I killed the shark. Yushu danced around excitedly. She didn't think that she'd hit the shark with just one hit, making it bleed. Why did I hear a scream just now? Does the shark scream too? Meng Yao looked at the sea curiously, trying to figure something out. Ugh, I was the one who screamed. Pin Liang explained quickly, shocked. He was worried that Xiaofu wouldn't have died, would he? You screamed? I hit a shark, what's yours? Yushu asked curiously. Well, the shark was in pain, and I saw that it didn't know how to scream, so I screamed for it. Yeah, I screamed for it. Pin Liang explained with a dry laugh. I see. Yushu nodded. Liangi, hurry up and get the shark I killed. I want to eat grilled shark meat. Ah, okay. Pin Liang was quite troubled. He wanted to show off his skills, but Yushu got there first. What a waste of effort. Pin Liang dove into the water and saw Xiaofu grimacing in pain as he held his forehead, but it didn't look like anything serious. It was just a flesh wound. Pin Liang sighed in relief and pointed at the frozen shark he'd bought from the supermarket. He gestured for Xiaofu to push the shark from behind while he pulled it up himself. Xiaofu endured the pain in his head and helped Pin Liang push the shark ashore. He quickly dove back into the water, looking for a place to go out to sea. This shark's pretty big. Yushu ran to the shark excitedly and poked it with her finger. Huh, why is this shark so cold? It looks like it just came out of the fridge. Chapter 463. Pretend to be a shark a little longer? Is that so? Yushu blinked. She didn't know if sharks were cold-blooded or not, so she decided to believe Pin Liang's explanation for now. Yes, Pin Liang said confidently. Shoo, I'll make roasted shark for you and Yao Yao now. We can't bring a fire source on the plane, so I brought a solar barbecue grill. I'll show you high-tech food later. Oh, that's great. Hurry up. Yushu was overjoyed at the thought that she could eat roasted shark very soon. Meng Yao, on the other hand, looked at the shark with a weird expression on her face. Why is this shark missing a fin? Why? Pin Liang's eyes went wide as he looked at the shark on the ground. As expected, the shark was missing a fin, and it looked like it had been cut off by someone. Pin Liang was so pissed off he wanted to curse at the supermarket owner for lying to him. He'd cut off a shark's fin and sold it at such a high price. He was going to get someone to smash his shop. Motherfucker. Shu must have cut off the shark's fin, yes. It must have been smashed by a rock. Pin Yang explained. Really? I'm that good? Yushu didn't believe that she could have cut off the shark's fin. Don't tell me you bought this shark from the supermarket? Meng Yao said as she kicked the shark twice, noticing that it was hard and solid. It was clearly frozen solid. Yeah, Yao Yao, why does it look like you bought it from the supermarket? Look, there's a price tag in the shark's mouth. Yushu looked at the shark in confusion. Is this the one I killed? Lil Liangzi, are you mistaken? Yes, it's definitely it. Pin Yang glanced at the shark's mouth and saw a white price tag. He gritted his teeth in anger. Was this Xiaofu blind? He didn't see the missing fin, but how could he not see the price tag in the shark's mouth? Pin Liang, however, couldn't say that out loud. He quickly took the price tag out of the shark's mouth with a dry smile and stuffed it into his mouth, chewing it twice before swallowing. This isn't a price tag, it's scallop meat. It was very delicious. As the saying goes, humans die in pursuit of wealth, and birds die in pursuit of food. This shark must have swam to the shallow sea to eat the scallops, but it was smashed to death by Little Shu's stone. Pin Liang quickly changed the topic, afraid that the two would see through him again. Scallop meat? So you eat it raw? Meng Yao felt that something was wrong. This is something sharks risk their lives to eat. How can it not be delicious? Ugh. Sorry, I should have left something this delicious for you, Yao Yao. Pin Liang said quickly. Then you should eat by yourself. Don't call me Yao Yao, it sounds weird. Meng Yao reminded. Didn't Shu call you Yao Yao? Pin Liang couldn't help but ask. Shu calls me Yao Yao, sis. Why don't you call me that too? Meng Yao glared at Pin Liang. Forget it then. Pin Liang didn't want to become Meng Yao's little brother. Wouldn't that make it harder for him to pursue her? With a laugh, Pin Liang said, I'm going to roast the shark. All the boys in our class, come over. We'll cut the shark together, and everyone will have a share when it's done. Some of the students were more or less suspicious of the shark in Pin Liang's hand like Meng Yao and Yushu, but when they heard that the shark was going to be roasted later and that everyone would have a share, no one dared to do such a hateful thing. They all started helping Pin Liang, and their disgust towards him lessened a lot. Pin Liang prepared the solar grill and looked around for Xiaofu. After a while, he saw Xiaofu running over with a shirt wrapped around his head. How are you? Pin Liang asked quietly. Luckily, it's just my forehead. It's just a flesh wound. Xiaofu said, Why didn't you hold on a little longer before you went down? I didn't even get to do anything, and you went down already. I'm so embarrassed. I didn't even show my heroic image. Pin Liang complained. Liang bro, I had no choice. Yushu was too fierce. She threw a rock at me, and if I didn't go down quickly, I'd be dead if she threw another rock at me. Xiaofu said with lingering fear. You're right, but who knew why Yushu was so enthusiastic about this? Pin Liang shook his head. Maybe I should pretend to be a shark again later? Xiaofu asked carefully. Sure, we'll talk about it later. Pin Liang nodded. Let's put the grill on the grill first and get ready to roast it. Pin Liang and Xiaofu waited for a while, but the grill didn't heat up. Pin Liang started to panic. What's wrong with this thing? Why isn't it working? There's not enough solar energy, right? Xiaofu looked up at the sun and said carefully. Then what do we do? Pin Liang looked up. It was indeed cloudy. Don't worry, we still have a hand crank. I'll crank it here, and you blow on the charcoal in the grill. It'll be easy as long as it's lit up. Xiaofu said. All right. Pin Liang nodded and started blowing air into the stove while Xiaofu chewed on the booster with all his might. After a while, Pin Liang's mouth was swollen, but there was no smoke coming out of the charcoal. Xiaofu, on the other hand, was shaking until his arms hurt. Why didn't you guys light up the fire? Yushu watched as the boys cut the shark into smaller pieces, and Pin Liang didn't even light up the grill. What kind of grill is this? It's a new model. I bought it on TV, recommended by you, bro. Xiaofu said proudly. You believe stuff from TV? Yushu's eyes were wide open. That's... Pin Liang almost kicked Xiaofu to death. He'd thought it was some high-tech product, but it turned out to be an unreliable TV show. Liang bro, don't be mad, it'll be done soon. I'll try harder, Xiaofu said as he increased the speed of his shaking, sweating profusely. Xiaofu, why do you look like a Native American chief? Why is there something on your head? Yushu said as she tried to pull the shirt off Xiaofu's head. Don't. That's what it means to struggle. Look at TV. People who struggle have a piece of cloth on their head. I'm struggling to light the grill. Xiaofu explained quickly. Chapter 464. Chapter 464. Wood drilling. Right away. Pin Liang panicked when he heard that Meng Yao was going to find someone else. Fu, didn't you eat breakfast this morning? Put in more effort. I did, but I threw up. No, I didn't throw up, I pooped. Xiaofu said. Pin Liang's face darkened, feeling a little awkward. Yushu really knew how to rub it in. He pooped. Didn't he do it too? Pooped in his pants too? Pin Liang was afraid that Yushu would laugh at him again. So he said, cut the crap and shake it harder. With that, Pin Liang increased the strength of his breath, blowing at the charcoal in the stove. All right, I'll give my all. Xiaofu gritted his teeth and increased the speed of his hand. With a bang, a beam of fire shot out of the stove, and Pin Liang howled in pain as the smell of roasted pig hair wafted through the air. Pin Liang's hair was singed, and a part of his face was blackened as well. Fortunately, the fire only lasted for a split second, or the skin on his face would have been burnt off. Fu, what are you doing? Pin Liang panicked. Are you trying to burn me to death? Liang bro, weren't you the one who told me to hurry up? Xiaofu said bitterly. Pin Liang didn't know what to say anymore. He was the one who told Xiaofu to hurry up. After all, with a dark face, he said, then continue. That was pretty good, and I think we're about to light the stove up. All right, let's work harder. Xiaofu nodded, roaring as he started shaking the pole again. But this time, Pin Liang didn't dare get too close. He could only blow from afar, and the effect was much weaker. Xiaofu shook the stove even faster than before, but without Pin Liang's help, the fire wouldn't come out no matter how hard he tried. With a thud, Xiaofu fell on his butt, sitting on the ground with a groan. Thank goodness he was on the beach, or he'd be in a lot of pain. What the hell? Pin Liang was infuriated. He'd wanted to show off in front of Meng Yao, but problems kept popping up. He either messed up here or there. It's broken. Brother Liang, the handle is broken. Gao Xiaofu raised the joystick in his hand with a sad face. Broken. Pin Liang was infuriated. What kind of trash did Xiaofu buy? What an embarrassment. Sai, you two are too unreliable. Yushu looked at Pin Liang and Xiaofu, shaking her head in disappointment. She turned around and saw smoke rising from Lin Yi's chimney. I'll go look for someone else. Look, they've already started a fire. With that, Yushu ran off, but Pin Liang frowned. The person by the fire was Lin Yi. Brother Liang, aren't we not allowed to bring a fire source on the plane? Where did he get the fire? Gao Xiaofu asked curiously. Yeah, we're not allowed to bring a fire source on the plane. He must have brought it in private. We'll go report him. Pin Liang was pissed after trying to light the fire for a long time. He saw Yushu and Meng Yao run over to Lin Yi's side. He panicked. Let's go, we'll go look for him. Lin Yi got a few clams and crabs from the sea, planning to roast them. He wasn't interested in shark meat, so he made a fire with some twigs to roast the clams. Lin Yi rarely talked to anyone other than Kong Xiaobo, so no one thought that Lin Yi didn't fit in with the group. Boss, I got some more clams. Do you think this is enough? Xiaobo said as he put the clams and his clothes on the beach beside Lin Yi. It's more than enough for the two of us. Lin Yi said after a glance. Me too. Xiao Xiao was panicking. I want to eat too. Go get it yourself. Lin Yi said faintly as he looked at her. Who did this girl think she was? She wanted to get it for free? Oh. Xiao Xiao stood up, feeling wronged as she walked to the beach. She wasn't happy. Why was Lin Yi treating her like this? Couldn't he be a little nicer? Xiao Xiao was even more troubled when she got to the beach. Kong Xiaobo had pretty much taken all the clams in the shallow water. It seemed like she'd have to go deeper. Luckily, it wasn't that Xiao Xiao didn't know how to swim. She just wanted Lin Yi to teach her. That was why she said she couldn't swim. Going deeper would be dangerous. Boss, why don't you go easy on the fairer sex? Kong Xiaobo felt wronged on Xiao Xiao's behalf. If there was a pretty girl who wanted to eat clams, Kong Xiaobo would be more than happy to give it to her. But now, Xiao Xiao was chasing after Lin Yi. Kong Xiaobo couldn't do that, and Lin Yi wouldn't let Kong Xiaobo do that. Lin Yi, where'd you get the fire? Pin Liang was pissed off, and he felt that he was in the right. He was the one who found the plane, so he had the right to question Lin Yi. He was in the right, after all. Lin Yi frowned and looked at Pin Liang. What's it got to do with you? You? Pin Liang was pissed. He was here to question Lin Yi, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to refute him with one sentence. But Pin Liang wasn't going to back down now. He pointed at Lin Yi. You're not allowed to bring a fire on the plane, and you brought matches and a lighter? Are you trying to put the safety of the whole class at risk? Do you think I won't call the cops on you? Pin Liang immediately elevated Lin Yi's actions to the safety of the entire class, and the students who thought Pin Liang was a little arrogant and despotic all stood on Pin Liang's side. Yeah, bringing a fire with you was the same as screwing everyone over. Which eye of yours saw me bring a lighter and matches? Lin Yi smiled coldly. You're just looking for trouble, aren't you? How did you start a fire without a fire? Pin Liang was sure that Lin Yi used a fire source to start a fire. Otherwise, he wouldn't have any equipment to start a fire. My boss started a fire by drilling wood. Kong Xiaobo was pissed. Pin Liang was accusing Lin Yi of using a lighter or matches to start a fire. Drilling wood to start a fire? Pin Liang paused and laughed. Are you kidding me? Drilling wood to start a fire? Why didn't you say you used a magnifying glass to start a fire? Didn't you learn in primary school? Didn't you know that drilling wood to start a fire? Kong Xiaobo rolled his eyes and ignored Pin Liang. Then drill another one for me to see. If you can't do it, I'll call the cops. Pin Liang shouted angrily. Chapter 465. A real shark. Lin Yi glanced at Yushu, ignoring her. Perform for Pin Liang? Lin Yi, on the other hand, wasn't that bored. He put the clams on the fire rack and started roasting them. Lin Yi, you can start a fire by drilling wood? Meng Yao, who'd been standing on the side, hadn't said a word. Yushu said that Lin Yi could start a fire by drilling wood. Yes. Lin Yi had no choice but to answer since the miss had asked. Then why don't you drill it for us to see? Meng Yao didn't want Lin Yi to get into trouble, and judging from Pin Liang's attitude, he'd probably do what he said. Lin Yi was her follower, and Meng Yao didn't want Lin Yi to get arrested. Oh, okay. Lin Yi found 2 pieces of wood and prepared to start a fire. Wait, why are you standing so far away from me? Perform in front of me if you can. Pin Liang waved his hand to stop Lin Yi, surprised that Lin Yi had agreed to perform. But the easier it was for Lin Yi to agree, the more he was afraid that Lin Yi would do something to it. Do you need me to perform in front of you? Lin Yi thought that Pin Liang could go after Meng Yao if he wanted to, but there was no need for him to get a solar grill. Lin Yi didn't bother with him, but the guy had taken the initiative to target him. Lin Yi was a little puzzled. Was the guy itching for a beating again? Or was he out of his mind? Pin Liang wouldn't have dared to cause trouble for Lin Yi under normal circumstances, but today was different. He was the one who organized the trip, and he was the one who booked the plane. From a certain perspective, he was the person in charge of the trip. This way, if Lin Yi were to bring a fire source onto the plane, he would have a responsibility to stop and discipline him. That was why Pin Liang dared to do this. Pin Liang wouldn't be this angry if Lin Yi had just admitted to it. At most, he'd scold him a bit and confiscate his fireplace. But Lin Yi was drilling wood to start a fire? Pin Liang had heard of drilling wood to make fire, but he had never seen it before. Also, if wood could really be used to start a fire, then those exploration teams and inspection groups wouldn't have to attach so much importance to their personal fire source. Wouldn't they be able to start a fire by just finding 2 pieces of wood? All right, just put in my hand and let me see if I can start a fire. Pin Liang was afraid that Lin Yi would do something to it, so he asked for another piece of wood. He didn't believe that Lin Yi could start a fire so easily. Do whatever you want. Don't look for me if you burn up. Lin Yi was just thinking about how to teach this guy a lesson when he didn't expect Pin Liang to take the initiative to crawl under his fingers. All right, I won't look for you. It's my bad luck if I burn up. Everyone is here to testify. Pin Liang laughed coldly. But I'm afraid that you don't have what it takes. Lin Yi didn't say much. He put a piece of wood in Pin Liang's hand and started rubbing the other piece of wood against it. I thought you had some tricks up your sleeves. You'll never be able to make a fire with this kind of method. Pin Liang laughed at Lin Yi's actions. Since you want to make a fool of yourself, then do what you want. Pin Liang thought to himself. He had made a fool of himself today, and now it was Lin Yi's turn. Pin Liang was laughing proudly when he heard a puff. Then he felt a burning sensation in his palm. Why? Pin Liang realized that the wood in his hand had been set on fire, and the flames were blazing. It scared him so much that he threw the wood away and started screaming. It's hot! It's hot! Everyone had benefited from Pin Liang, so they couldn't make fun of him. Yushu, on the other hand, didn't care. She started laughing at Pin Liang's funny face. Kong Xiaobo started laughing as well. Pin Liang felt so humiliated that he wanted to jump into the sea. He was just about to find an excuse to leave when he saw a shark fin swimming around in the sea. Pin Liang was overjoyed. This Gao Xiaofu was really something. He came at just the right time. He was pretending to be a shark again, and this time in deep water. Yushu wouldn't be able to throw a rock that far no matter how good she was. Even the Olympic shot put champion wouldn't be able to do it. Another shark attack. Pin Liang yelled, drawing everyone's attention away. Wait for me. I'll come back after I take care of this shark. Pin Liang had already thought of an excuse. He'd kill the shark later, but he didn't plan on dragging the shark back to shore. He couldn't drag it back to shore, since he only bought a frozen shark from the supermarket. He didn't have any left to drag, but he could use the excuse that the shark was deep in the sea and it was too far for him to drag it back. There was already one shark, and he couldn't finish it. He didn't need another one. In order to avoid the awkwardness of drilling wood to start a fire, Pin Liang sprinted into the sea and charged at the shark. "You bold shark, Liang bro will take care of you." Yushu had gotten the first move, and Pin Liang couldn't let it slip again. He had to get rid of the shark as soon as possible before Yushu made another move. Puff. Lin, he almost burst out laughing at Pin Liang's reactive. This shark was a real shark, after all. He couldn't help but admire Pin Liang's bravery. "Liang bro, where are you going?" Xiaofu was shocked as he watched Pin Liang run away. He wasn't the one who pretended to be the shark, so Xiaofu thought of a scary possibility. Pin Liang, on the other hand, was already far away and couldn't hear Xiaofu's shout at all. He was still charging forward passionately, but he froze when he was about to reach the shark. That was because he saw the shark opening its bloody mouth towards him. "What?" Pin Liang stopped. "Xiaofu?" The shark didn't reply, but swam towards Pin Liang with its mouth open. It was a shark attracted by the smell of blood. Xiaofu's head was bleeding, and the boys in the class had used seawater to wash the shark's meat, so the shark had snuck in through the hole Pin Liang had made in the security line. Oh my god. Pin Liang realized that this wasn't Xiaofu at all. It was a real shark. Pin Liang was scared, and with a scream, he swam towards the shore, pissing his pants. This time, he used all his strength and started running. Although it was a little shameful, it was nothing compared to losing his life. Chapter 466. Lenny makes a move because of her concentration. Xiao Xiao didn't realize that the shark wasn't far from her, and that Pin Liang was drawing it over. Pin Liang, on the other hand, saw Xiao Xiao, and his eyes lit up. He quickly swam towards Xiao Xiao's direction, trying to draw the shark's attention to Xiao Xiao. Pin Liang wouldn't have dared to do this under normal circumstances, since he was very afraid of Xiao Xiao. But now that his life was in danger, he had to do it. He was about to be bitten by a shark, so what did he care about? If he could divert the shark's attention and make it attack Xiao Xiao, he'd be free. As expected, the shark's attention was drawn to Xiao Xiao, and it swam towards her. "Boss, that shark," Kong Xiaobo started, pointing at where the shark was swimming towards Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi frowned. Naturally, he'd seen the shark get drawn to Xiao Xiao's side. Lin didn't care if Pin Liang got bitten to death by the shark or not. It was better if he was dead. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, was someone Lin Yi didn't have a good impression of, but he didn't hate her either. If she'd been eaten by a shark for no reason, Lin Yi would have sympathized with her. It was one thing if they didn't know each other, but she was his desk mate after all, and they'd been messing around for so long. Lin Yi still had some feelings for her, and he had no choice but to stand up and walk towards the beach. "Xiao Xiao, you dumb girl, get out of the way." Lin Yi couldn't help but yell. "Ah!" Xiao Xiao blinked at Lin Yi's words. She looked up to see Pin Liang swimming towards her with a shark right behind him. Xiao Xiao's face changed. She'd seen through the fake shark Pin Liang made with Lin Yi's warning, but this one was obviously a real shark, or Pin Liang wouldn't be this fast. But wasn't this guy a little too evil? Why did he have to run toward him? Wasn't it obvious that he was trying to attract the shark's attention to him? Xiao Xiao was infuriated and scared, but she was hesitant. The bracelet that her mother had left for her was lost here. If she ran away now, it would be difficult to locate it later, and the hope of finding it would be even slimmer. "What are you thinking about?" Lin, he was getting a little exasperated. Xiao Xiao was usually a smart girl, so why was she so dumb at critical moments? My bracelet," Xiao Xiao said. Lin fainted. He was already dead, and he was still looking for the bracelet? What kind of thinking was that? But Xiao Xiao didn't move. Even if she ran back, it'd be too late. Lin, he could only jump into the sea with his clothes on. Pin Liang's life and death had nothing to do with Lin Yi, but this idiot Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi didn't want her to die. Xiao Xiao was a little shocked. She didn't think that Lin Yi would jump into the sea to save her. She couldn't believe it. Was this really Lin Yi? Lin Yi swam over quickly, ignoring Xiao Xiao. The shark was already swimming over, and Pin Liang was hiding behind Xiao Xiao like a coward. Lin Yi was very familiar with dealing with sharks. They were in deep water, but Lin Yi's feet were still on the bottom. He could use his strength as a golden class late phase peak to kill the shark with one punch, but that would be too much of a shock, so Lin Yi decided to use the same method as last time. After a punch, he'd use the branch in his hand to stab the shark's cheek. The shark was taken care of by Lin Yi very cleanly. Pin Liang and Xiao Xiao were the most shocked. Pin Liang didn't think that Lin Yi could take care of a shark so easily, while he himself was his enemy, Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, was shocked by Lin Yi's strength. He didn't seem to be sloppy at all, and that made Peng Zhan spend a lot of money to hire him. As for the other students in the class, they'd seen Yushu killing a shark with a cobblestone before, and most of them thought that sharks were easy to kill, so they weren't all that shocked when Lin Yi killed another shark. "Are you trying to kill me?" Xiao Xiao snapped back to reality, and the first thing she did was send a kick at Pin Liang's crotch, making him cry out in pain. His eyes rolled back, and he almost fell into the sea. Xiao Xiao had used a lot of strength in that kick. She was pissed off to the max. This Pin Liang was basically trying to kill her. What was the difference between that and murder? And so, Xiao Xiao didn't hold back at all. Pin Liang deserved to be kicked to death. Pin Liang knew that he was in the wrong, and even though the pain was unbearable, he still held his crotch and carefully went back to the shore. He sat on the beach, unable to speak, his face pale. Xiaofu quickly ran over to comfort him. At this moment, no one in the class was sympathizing with Pin Liang anymore. What Pin Liang did before was simply too immoral. He couldn't fight the shark himself, so he lured it to someone else. Wasn't that a little too much? It wasn't hard to imagine that if the person in the sea hadn't been Xiao Xiao, but someone else, would Pin Liang have lured the shark over? If it weren't for Lin Yi's timely arrival, wouldn't the person in the sea be in the fish's stomach? Dumb girl, why didn't you run? Lin Yi was a little annoyed that Xiao Xiao didn't run. If she had run, he wouldn't have had to go into the water. Now that he was all wet, it was really uncomfortable. My mom left me a bracelet. Xiao Xiao remembered that she hadn't found it yet. She couldn't care less about the shark's blood in the water. She crouched down to look for it. What bracelet? You don't even want your life anymore? Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's something my mom left for me. Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi, a little embarrassed, but she didn't look away. This bracelet was too important to her. She didn't want to lose it. It was Lin Yi's turn to be surprised, but it was just as Xiao Xiao said. Lin Yi understood why Xiao Xiao would risk her life to look for the bracelet. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that Xiao Xiao didn't have a mother. My mom left when I was really young. Xiao Xiao shook her head, a faint sadness in her eyes. Chapter 467. Chapter 467. Pin Liang's new plan. What are you doing? Xiao Xiao jumped, not expecting Lin Yi to be so bold as to hold her hand. She wanted to move away subconsciously, but she didn't manage to. Lin Yi didn't say anything. He put something in Xiao Xiao's hand and left. A bracelet? Xiao Xiao looked at the thing Lin Yi put down, speechless. She'd been looking for it for so long, and Lin Yi just casually touched the water and found it? Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi's back in disbelief. Her eyes filled with disbelief. She didn't understand Lin Yi at all. Lin Yi wasn't a treasure hunter or anything. How would he be able to find the bracelet Xiao Xiao threw into the water under normal circumstances? Lin Yi was just using Xiao Xiao's faint hostility towards him, and through the jade's sensing ability, he found something with Xiao Xiao's presence in the sea. It was just a normal function of the jade, and Lin Yi often used it in the battlefield to find out what his enemies were hiding. Of course, this function only worked on people who were hostile to him. It didn't work on anyone else. The spring outing ended peacefully with Pin Liang's farce. In the evening, the students in the class took the seaplane back to Songshan City. Pin Liang's face was pale as he sat next to Xiaofu. The two didn't try to sit in the last row anymore, instead choosing to sit behind everyone else in the middle of the cabin. The spring outing was a perfect plan, and now it's ruined. Pin Liang realized that everything was going wrong. No matter what he did, it always ended in failure. If this went on, he might even think that he was possessed by the god of misfortune. Liang bro, I'm sorry, I didn't warn you in time when that shark came, Xiaofu said, a little guilty. It's fine, I was too impatient. Pin Liang waved his hand. I'm afraid Mingyao's impression of me is even worse now. She thinks I'm a coward, trying to lure danger to a woman. I'm done for. There's no hope left. Brother Liang, don't give up. There's still hope. Xiaofu tried to calm Pin Liang down. In fact, even he himself thought that Pin Liang's chances were slim. Really? Is there still hope? Pin Liang was like a drowning man clutching at the last straw. He knew it was hopeless, but he didn't want to give up. Yes. Gao Xiaofu hesitated for a moment before saying, Brother Liang, I think you should force yourself on her. Force yourself on me? Pin Liang paused, looking at Xiaofu in shock. You're saying, that's right. Gao Xiaofu was just saying it casually, but after saying it, even he felt that it was a good idea. So he continued, Brother Liang, it's already April, and there are only 2 months left before the college entrance examination. Time is tight, and if you don't hurry up, I'm afraid that your chances will be even slimmer after you enter university. What if Meng Yao finds someone else after she goes to university? Yeah, you're right. Pin Liang nodded. But isn't it too risky to force yourself on her? Meng Yao's family isn't normal, and I'm afraid that it'll backfire. Pin Liang had given Ruoming a similar idea before, telling him to force himself on Tang Yun, but that was only for girls with no background. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was different. Peng Zhan wouldn't let him off the hook if he really did force himself on Meng Yao. That's not true. Xiaofu waved his hand mysteriously. Think about it, Liang bro. What do the people in the upper class care about the most? Its reputation. And if Meng Yao really becomes yours, would she dare to sue you? Even if she wanted to, Peng Zhan might not agree to it. This is related to his daughter's reputation for life. If this gets out, how is Meng Yao going to get married? That's true, but how can I guarantee that Peng Zhan won't do something to me in the dark? Pin Liang hesitated, still worried. Isn't that easy? First, Meng Yao's already yours, and I don't believe that she won't care about all this. As long as she cares, you can take advantage of the situation and break through her mental defenses, Xiaofu said confidently. Secondly, Liang bro, you have to go to Peng Zhan's company and spread the word that Meng Yao's already yours, that you're his son-in-law. Let everyone know about this, and Peng Zhan won't be able to do anything to you even if he wants to, since everyone knows about this. He'll have to acknowledge you as his son-in-law to avoid being laughed at, Xiaofu said confidently. I say, Xiaofu, you're pretty good, aren't you? Pin Liang listened to Xiaofu's analysis and felt that it was true. It was a great idea if he did it right. Of course, Liang bro, you can do this if you're really afraid of something happening. Xiaofu was getting more and more excited. Lock Meng Yao up first, then go to Peng Zhan's place and say that Meng Yao's already yours. See how he reacts. If he acknowledges you as his son-in-law, then go back and cook the rice. If he doesn't, then let Meng Yao go and tell him that it's just a joke. That way, the risk will be much lower. Xiaofu, I really didn't realize that you're so smart. Pin Liang was a little worried before, but calmed down after hearing Xiaofu's instructions. There was no risk at all. Haha, it's all thanks to your training, Liang bro. Xiaofu smiled, pleased with himself. Man, this thing down there got kicked by Xiao Xiao, and it's all swollen now. Looks like I won't be able to use it anytime soon. I can't force myself on her, either, Pin Liang said, a little regretful. Xiao Xiao gripped the bracelet in her hand tightly. She needed to re-evaluate Lin Yi's strength. She'd underestimated Lin Yi too much before, resulting in her losing time and time again. It seemed that making Lin Yi fall in love with her wasn't an easy task. Lin Yi had saved her today, but Xiao Xiao could tell that Lin Yi didn't save her because he liked her at all. It was out of pity. And so, Xiao Xiao felt that she needed to adjust her plan a little. If she kept chasing Lin Yi like this, Lin Yi would never like her for the rest of his life. It seemed that she had to do something. Chapter 468. Chapter 468. Xiao Xiao's confession. No. He'd saved her, but how could she let go of the humiliation she'd suffered? Absolutely not. She was Xiao Xiao. When had she ever been so irresolute? Humph. She'd already made up her mind to make him pay. So she'd keep her word. It was Monday morning, and Lin Yi brought the freshly made shark fins to Mr. Tang. It wasn't much of a delicacy for Meng Yao and Yushu, after all. Mr. Tang, naturally, was very happy. He couldn't stop smiling when he saw the shark fins Lin Yi had brought. Mrs. Tang, on the other hand, was happy as well. Lin Yi's appearance had changed the family for the better. Lin Yi, I've thought about it, and I've decided to buy a retail store after the relocation. It might cost a bit more, but it'll be enough to open a barbecue shop. Mrs. Tang said. This was the decision she'd made after hearing from Tang Yun that Lin Yi wanted her to open a shop. That's a good thing. Lin Yi nodded. With a shop in front and a home behind, we don't have to worry about a place to live. Yeah. Mrs. Tang paused for a moment before continuing, but I might not be able to return the money I borrowed from you so soon. We've made some money these days, and with the money from old Tang's surgery, it should be enough to pay for the store. Mrs. Tang knew that Tang Yun wouldn't be able to say it herself, so she might as well say it herself. Even if Lin Yi rejected her, it didn't matter. She'd be the one losing face anyway. Huh, you don't have to return that money. Lin Yi smiled. Let me know if it's not enough. It's enough, it's enough. Mrs. Tang said with a smile after hearing Lin Yi's words. Old Tang, I told you Lin Yi would be fine. That's good. Tang Juqing let out a breath of relief. He was indeed worried. Lin Yi and Tang Yun were friends, but they were only boyfriend and girlfriend. They weren't engaged or married, so Tang Juqing didn't feel comfortable owing Lin Yi so much money. Mom, why are you all so greedy? Tang Yun wasn't very happy. Although she didn't feel that way about Lin Yi giving money to her family anymore, she still felt that she owed it to Lin Yi. If his parents couldn't pay back the money, it would still fall on him in the end. What if he couldn't pay back the money? How was he supposed to return it? This child, what do you mean by greedy? Isn't it difficult at home? Mrs. Tang glared at her daughter, thinking, you really don't know how to use your resources. Lin Yi is so generous. Can't you just ask for more? At that time, he would also buy a bigger retail store at home and even buy the first and second floors. Tang Yun pouted and lowered her head. She couldn't win against her mother in an argument, and even if she did, her mother might say something embarrassing. So, Tang Yun decided to keep quiet. All right, Uncle Tang, Auntie Tang, I'm going to school with Tang Yun. Lin Yi smiled as he smoothed things over. Okay, it's about time you guys go. Mrs. Tang smiled as she sent Tang Yun and Lin Yi to the door. When Lin Yi left, he gave Mrs. Tang a bank card. Mrs. Tang paused for a second, then put it into her pocket with a smile. She knew that Lin Yi gave it to her, and he did it behind Tang Yun's back, which meant that the money was free and not borrowed. There wasn't any evidence, and Tang Yun didn't see it. Other than giving Mr. Tang shark fin, Lin Yi also came to give Mrs. Tang this card. He wanted Mrs. Tang to open up the barbecue shop as soon as possible, reducing Tang Yun's burden. What did you just give my mom? Tang Yun's eyes were sharp, and she noticed something. It's nothing. Lin Yi smiled. Did you secretly give her money? Tang Yun wasn't stupid, and she could roughly guess what he was doing. No, a small accessory, Lin Yi said casually. Oh, Tang Yun let out a breath of relief. She was afraid that she owed Lin Yi too much, and she wouldn't be able to pay it back in the future. Lin Yi drove Tang Yun to school and parked the car at the food street. Xiao Xiao's Audi TT followed them and stopped beside Lin Yi's car. Xiao Xiao took over another stall on the food street, and the vendors didn't dare say anything because Xiao Xiao and Lin Yi knew each other. Who would want to mess with her? Honey, Xiao Xiao stopped the car and waved at Lin Yi. What? Lin Yi's eyes went wide as he looked at Xiao Xiao, confused. Was there something wrong with this girl? Calling him honey? Tang Yun's face darkened as she looked at Xiao Xiao strangely. Xiao Xiao had already shown that she was too close to Lin Yi in the cafeteria, and that made Tang Yun uncomfortable. Now, she was calling Lin Yi honey right in front of her. What did she think she was? Lin Yi, didn't you say you were going to talk to her? Xiao Xiao ran over and grabbed Lin Yi's arm. You liar. You told me yesterday that you're going to give her a breakup fee and break up with her. Why are you still with her? Xiao Xiao, what's wrong with you? Lin Yi was about to explode at Xiao Xiao's weird words. Lin Yi, I think I'm pregnant. Can you take me to the hospital for a checkup? Xiao Xiao didn't answer Lin Yi's question. Tang Yin frowned as she looked at Xiao Xiao. From what she knew of Lin Yi, she didn't believe Xiao Xiao's words, but anyone would be suspicious if they heard something like this. What's going on? Didn't Lin Yi give you a breakup fee? Xiao Xiao looked at Tang Yin, confused. I've known Lin Yi for a long time, and I wanted to make you a mistress out of pity, sharing Lin Yi with you, but you didn't know what was good for you, so I had to make Lin Yi be with you for nothing. Tang Yin paused. She didn't really believe Xiao Xiao's words, but Xiao Xiao said it so confidently that Tang Yin couldn't help but be suspicious. One had to know that reputation was very important to a girl, and Xiao Xiao didn't even have a boyfriend. Why would she throw dirty water on herself and say something like that? Seeing that all the students were looking at them, Tang Yin felt her face heat up. Xiao Xiao's words were obviously meant to embarrass her, and even if she was lying, Tang Yin still felt uncomfortable. Did this make the students think that she was trying to steal her man? Tang Yin never thought that she would become the main character of a love triangle. Lin Yi talked to her first. I'm leaving. Come find me after class. Tang Yin didn't want to see the weird looks people were giving her, so she said to Lin Yi and quickly walked back to school. Lin Yi, on the other hand, looked at Xiao Xiao with a dark face. What do you want? Chapter 469. Chapter 469. Something happened to Fun. Xiao Xiao decided to take the initiative and cause some trouble for Lin Yi. Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao, confused. A hero saving a damsel in distress was the most vulgar part of the story, but it was also something that could easily move a man's heart. But Lin Yi didn't think that yesterday's scene could move Xiao Xiao that much. He'd saved Tang Yin a couple of times already, and she didn't even want to marry him. Their relationship was only formed after spending a long time together. The miss, on the other hand, didn't need to be mentioned. He'd saved her many times, and she never expressed anything. As a result, Lin Yi didn't think that saving a damsel in distress would make Xiao Xiao confess to him on her own accord. Lin Yi, you're the most charming man I've ever met. Xiao Xiao blushed as she looked at Lin Yi, her eyes blurry. But before Lin Yi could say anything, the phone rang. It was Lin Yi. Sorry, I'll take this call first. Lin Yi made a hand gesture to Xiao Xiao before picking up the call. Xiao Xiao was furious. She'd never been so humble to a man before. She was Xiao Xiao. She'd sworn that in her short life, she'd never lower her head to anyone. She'd live a life of her own free will. But now, Lin Yi was picking up the phone when she'd finally gotten the courage to confess to him. She couldn't take it anymore. She raised her foot, aiming to step on Lin Yi's foot. Lin Yi thought to himself, why did girls always like to step on other people's feet? He subconsciously moved back, and Xiao Xiao stepped on empty air. She'd used too much force, and with a crack, her high heel broke. Ah! Xiao Xiao was panicking. She glared at Lin Yi. Step on it, or I won't let you answer the phone. As he spoke, he tried to snatch the phone from Lin Yi's hand. Lin Yi frowned, thinking that Xiao Xiao was messing around a little, but seeing how furious she was, Lin Yi decided to let her be. He stretched out his leg and picked up the phone. Hello? I stomp. I stomp. I stomp, stomp, stomp. Xiao Xiao stomped on Lin Yi's foot, but the pain was nothing to Lin Yi. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, was having a hard time with her giggling. Boss, Xiaofan was caught. Just when Lin Yi picked up the phone, Kong Xiaobo's panicked voice came from the other side. Xiaofan was caught. What's going on? Lin Yi paused and ignored Xiao Xiao, frowning as he listened to the phone. Boss, it's like this. I woke up this morning and went to Xiaofan's house to have breakfast with her. Kong Xiaobo said, a little embarrassed. I wake up early every morning. Yeah, get to the point. Who caught Xiaofan? Lin Yi understood Kong Xiaobo's modus operandi. Men and women in love were always passionate, so Lin he wouldn't stop Kong Xiaobo from working hard every morning. After all, didn't he still go to Tang Yun's place early in the morning? This morning, Xiaofan was waiting for me on the bench near the breakfast stall like usual. But I usually get there first, but there was a traffic jam this morning, so I got there a little late. Kong Xiaobo said. When I got out of the car, I saw Xiaofan being caught by two men into a white van without a license plate. I was shocked and quickly called a taxi to follow them. I followed them to the entrance of a compound, but the taxi driver only stopped nearby and didn't dare to go in. Hearing Kong Xiaobo's words, Lin sighed. He couldn't understand why these people caught Xiaofan. Could it be that they were sent by Kong Ming? Where are you? I'll go right now. Lin asked. There's a road sign here. It says Dunmeng Street sub 7, but there doesn't seem to be anyone passing by, so it should be the suburbs, Kong Xiaobo said. I spent around 300 yuan on the taxi, so it should be the suburbs far away. Okay, don't do anything rash. Wait for me, Lin said. Keep in touch. Okay, boss. Hurry up. I'm afraid they'll do something bad to Xiaofan if I'm late. Kong Xiaobo said. Ha, don't worry. I'm here. Nothing will happen, Lin said. After hanging up the call with Kong Xiaobo, Lin ignored Xiao Xiao and turned to get in the car. But he saw Xiao Xiao's Audi TT. Lin hesitated. Lend me your car. In terms of speed, there was no way his van could catch up to Xiao Xiao's sports car. After all, there was the engine. Even if he stepped on the gas pedal, the car couldn't turn into a plane. The place Kong Xiaobo mentioned was a place Lin had never heard of, and since Kong Xiaobo spent 300 yuan on the taxi, excluding the possibility of the car taking a detour, it was more than 100 kilometers away. It wasn't close at all. Xiao Xiao blinked. Why did he only think of her when he wanted to borrow the car? Why did he ignore her before? Xiao Xiao humphed. I can borrow the car, but I have to be in the car. Follow if you're not afraid of danger. Lin didn't have time to bullshit with Xiao Xiao. The situation wasn't clear right now, and 1 minute late meant 1 minute more danger. Lin didn't want to waste time trying to convince Xiao Xiao. I'm not. Xiao Xiao nodded. The more dangerous and exciting it is, the more I like it. You're quite special. No wonder you like racing. Lin shook his head. Give me the keys. Xiao Xiao obediently took out the keys, but didn't give them to Lin. Instead, she unlocked the door. I'll give it to you in the car. What if you leave me behind? Lin smiled bitterly. I don't lie to my friends. You think I'm your friend? Xiao Xiao was a little excited at Lin Yi's words. Just a normal friend. Neither good nor bad. Lin was being truthful. He didn't have any bad feelings toward Xiao Xiao, nor did he have any good feelings towards her. In his eyes, she was just a spoiled girl who liked to cause trouble. Why would he bother with her? Carry me, or else we'll waste time. One of Xiao Xiao's shoes was broken, so she couldn't walk fast. Lin looked at her and casually picked her up with one arm, placing her in the passenger seat. Xiao Xiao was a little shocked. She didn't know that Lin Yi's body was this strong. He could carry her with one arm. Lin got in the car and took the keys from Xiao Xiao. He started the car and said to her, navigate to Dunmeng Street, number 7. Chapter 470. Chapter 470, Private Territory. Is it okay to run a red light? Lin asked. This was Xiao Xiao's car, after all. It's fine. Xiao Xiao, naturally, didn't care about the fine. Lin nodded. Sit tight and fasten your seatbelt. Xiao Xiao didn't think much of Lin telling her to fasten her seatbelt in the city, but the next moment, she realized that it was a good thing she did. She'd been driving for a long time, but she'd never seen an Audi TT this performance. It made her feel like she'd wasted her time on it. In the city, Lin took every chance he got, not only ignoring the red lights, but even ignoring the traffic police signaling for him to stop. That's amazing. Xiao Xiao was excited. Why can't I be this amazing? Even the traffic police can't stop you. I'm going to save someone. You're just racing for the thrill. It's different, Lin said faintly as he glanced at the rearview mirror. There were 2 police cars behind them. Lin, he was a bit speechless, but thinking about it, his actions were no different from racing. It was normal to get police cars. Whoa, there's police cars behind us. Linny, we have to lose them. Xiao Xiao wasn't scared at all, but excited instead. I've only seen something like this in Need for Speed. Lin Yi rolled his eyes. He'd guessed that Xiao Xiao's background wasn't normal. She'd been able to go from high school to high school, so she must have a lot of power behind her. It was understandable that Xiao Xiao didn't care about being chased by police cars. But Lin Yi didn't want any trouble. His first goal was to save someone, not deal with police cars. What's your license plate? Song AFX 520. What's wrong? Xiao Xiao asked subconsciously. FX 520? Lin Yi thought to himself. That plate was pretty special. Feng Xiao, I love you. But this also proved that Xiao Xiao's family wasn't simple at all, being able to get a plate like this. This was much harder to get than a plate with 3 8s or 3 6s. But Lin, he didn't say much and took out his phone to call Lingshan. Lingshan hadn't been home for a couple of days now. She was in the police force, organizing the experts to analyze the organ trafficking case. Seeing Lin Yi's phone call, he thought that Lin Yi had some clues, so he quickly picked it up. Miss Braindead, my car plate is Song AFX 520. There's a police car chasing after me. Tell them to stop. Lin Yi hung up before Lingshan could reply. Lingshan stared blankly at the phone, her face filled with anger. This Lin Yi, how dare he order him to do things? The next time I see him, I must beat him until his face is full of bumps. Lingshan wasn't happy, but she didn't want to piss Lin Yi off. She called the traffic police, telling them that the AFX 520 was on duty and telling them to stop chasing. As expected, not long after Lin Yi made the call, the police cars behind them disappeared, and when they passed by the traffic police station, there were no more traffic police to stop them. Lin Yi, you're too amazing, aren't you? You did it with one phone call? Xiao Xiao's eyes widened in shock. She had some background, but even she couldn't make all the traffic police ignore her with one phone call. I'm in a hurry to save someone, Lin Yi said faintly. Don't put me in the same category as a spoiled brat like you. Hee, no matter what, you're still very handsome. Xiao Xiao waved her fist excitedly. Right, who's Miss Braindead? A friend of mine, Lin Yi said. Then why is she called Miss Braindead? Is she retarded? Xiao Xiao asked, confused. It's my nickname for her, Lin Yi explained helplessly. It wasn't a good nickname to tell people. Then why don't you give me a nickname too? Xiao Xiao felt that someone Lin Yi would give her a nickname had to be really close. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi do it with one phone call? Lin Yi was going crazy. Who would ask someone to give her a nickname? Lin Yi ignored her and kept his mouth shut. Lin Yi realized that Xiao Xiao was the type of person who'd shine with a bit of sunshine and flood with a bit of water. The more he talked to her, the more trouble she'd have. Lin Yi decided not to talk to her anymore. Xiao Xiao saw that Lin Yi was ignoring her and looked out the window, feeling wronged. When they were almost at Dunmeng Street, Lin Yi's phone vibrated. It was a text. Boss, I can't wait anymore. I'm going first. They might do something to fun. The text was from Kong Xiaobo. Lin Yi frowned. This Kong Xiaobo couldn't hold it in, going into the tiger's lair by himself. Wasn't he just causing trouble? But Lin Yi understood Kong Xiaobo's feelings. Anyone in this situation wouldn't be able to hold it in if their loved one was kidnapped. Lin Yi called Kong Xiaobo, and sure enough, the phone was turned off. It seemed that Kong Xiaobo had made up his mind. There was only a compound that looked like a factory near Dunmeng Street 7. Lin Yi didn't see any other buildings as he drove closer. This was the outskirts of the city, and other than the barren land, there was only a building a long distance away. Who's there? As soon as Lin Yi's car reached the entrance of the compound, 2 bulky men came out and blocked Lin Yi's way. Tourists. Lin Yi pretended to be scared, but he was calculating in his heart. This place was heavily guarded, and it didn't look like something Kong Ming had done. If Kong Ming just wanted to capture Fun for revenge or to vent his anger, he wouldn't have created such a heavily guarded place. Could it be another group of people? But Lin Yi was curious. Why did these people want to capture Fun? Fun shouldn't have offended anyone. This is private property. Don't walk around here, leave. The bulky man looked at Lin Yi's car and saw that it was a sports car with a man and a woman in it. He believed that it was a couple, so he didn't mind and waved his hand impatiently, telling them to leave. "Oh, okay, I'm sorry." Lin Yi started the car, and it seemed like he was going to reverse, but he suddenly stepped on the accelerator and crashed into the two bulky men. Bang, bang dash, two loud noises were heard, and the two bulky men were sent flying. They fell to the ground with blood flowing out of their mouths. Chapter 471. Chapter 471. Crash inside the courtyard in the three tile-roofed houses in the middle. A fierce-looking one-eyed man kicked Kong Xiaobo's butt, sending him tumbling to the ground. "You're sneaking around like a bad guy. You're not a reporter, are you?" Kong Xiaobo was the unluckier one. He was afraid of being discovered by the two guards at the front door, so he climbed the wall from the side to enter the courtyard. His strategy wasn't a problem, but the one-eyed man was peeing at the foot of the wall when he climbed the wall. Kong Xiaobo jumped down, startling him so much that he stopped peeing. The one-eyed man was furious and dragged Kong Xiaobo into the tile-roofed house. "Where's Xiaofun? Where did you take Xiaofun? Who are you people?" Since he was caught, Kong Xiaobo threw caution to the wind. He straightened his neck, looking like he was ready to die a martyr's death. "Xiaofun." The one-eyed man froze. "What Xiaofun? What the hell are you doing? You caught my girlfriend, and you're asking me what I'm doing?" Kong Xiaobo raged. "What are you doing? Your girlfriend? She can't be the cripple that was sent here, right?" The one-eyed man remembered the cripple that had been sent here earlier. "Where's she? Let her go." Kong Xiaobo wasn't afraid of anything now that he'd thrown caution to the wind. "If you don't let us go, my boss will be here, and it'll be your death sentence." The one-eyed man laughed as if he'd heard the funniest joke in the world. "Your boss? Who do you think your boss is? Our death sentence? Since you're with that cripple, then you can be locked up together. Since you refused to take the path to heaven and chose to walk into hell, then you can be a husband and wife. I'll cut off your organs and let you share the joys and sorrows." Ha. Two loud bangs came from the yard as soon as the one-eyed man finished, followed by a series of screams. Then silence. What happened? One-eyed dragon suddenly became alert and asked a man next to him, "Ertzi, lock this guy in the basement first." "Is it a cop?" "My boss is here. You're dead meat." Kong Xiaobo had an inexplicable confidence in Lin Yi. If Lin Yi came, then he and Xiaofan would be out of danger. "Your boss." One-eyed dragon breathed a sigh of relief. As long as it was not the police, it would be easy. He said to his men, "Biaozi and Fei Zi at the door should have been dealt with. Let's go out and see." Then this kid. Erzi pointed at Kong Xiaobo and asked, "If you want to leave it here, he won't be able to run out even if the door is locked." One-eyed dragon said indifferently, "Take this guy and go out to see which idiot came to offer his kidney." "All right." Erzi took out a shotgun from the mezzanine of a table in the house and held it in his hand. He then walked out of the tile-roofed house with One-eyed dragon. But the scene in front of them shocked them. Biaozi and Fei Zi were lying on the ground in a terrible state, their faces covered in blood. They were clearly dying. Looking at the yard, there was only an Audi TT sports car left. Biaozi and Fei Zi were obviously hit by this car. "Motherfucker, kill them." One-eyed dragon panicked. This yard was usually guarded by the four of them, and now two of them were killed by a car. How could he tolerate it? They have guns. Xiao Xiao said in panic as she saw One-eyed dragon and Erzi coming out of the house. "Huh, I told you that it's dangerous. If you're afraid, I'll leave the car with you. You can drive back now." Lin Yi looked at the pale Xiao Xiao and said faintly, "I promise that no one will chase you." I'm not leaving." Xiao Xiao didn't dare to drive away by herself. She knew that following Lin Yi was the safest, and although she was a little scared, she was also a little excited. Lin Yi was like a lone hero in a movie, charging into the headquarters of a criminal organization all by himself, ready to wipe them out in one fell swoop. Lin Yi didn't say much. The moment Erzi raised his gun, he stepped on the accelerator and the car spun in an S shape in the yard. With a bang, Air Z was sent flying, and the gun was nowhere to be seen. Lin, he didn't want to reveal too much of his strength in front of Xiao Xiao, so using the car to hit people was the best solution. One-Eyed Dragon thought that, with the gun out, the people in the car in front of him would obediently surrender. After all, normal people would have an instinctive fear when they saw a gun. As long as they weren't desperados, they wouldn't act rashly. So he didn't think that Lin would still dare to drive and hit Air Z, who was holding a gun, away. Feeling that the situation wasn't good, he wanted to run. He was only being paid to be a guard, and he didn't want to do something like this. He didn't want the money, he just wanted to run. But the next moment, his vision went black, and he fell to the ground, unconscious. Lin, he took off his belt and tied his hands, then used Air Z's belt to tie his legs and threw him to the side. Lin, he had killed 3 of them already, and naturally, he wouldn't leave no survivors. This one-eyed man seemed to be the leader of the group, and so Lin, he knocked him out when he tried to run away. Xiao Xiao's eyes were wide open as she looked at Lin Yi's smooth movements, full of admiration and excitement. If Xiao Xiao was admiring Lin Yi's driving skills before, now she was admiring Lin Yi as a person. Xiao Xiao knew that even her father's bodyguards wouldn't be able to do it as cleanly as Lin Yi, taking care of the people in the yard so easily. Lin Yi walked to the tile-roofed house in the yard and kicked the door to pieces. The windows of the tile-roofed house weren't transparent, so Kong Xiaobo couldn't see what was going on outside. He jumped at the sound, but when he saw who it was, he was excited. "Boss, you're here." "You punk, couldn't you wait for me? What if something happened?" Lin, he scolded Kong Xiaobo. "Where's Fun?" "I don't know, but from what they said, I think she's locked in the basement." Kong Xiaobo said. "Oh, did they say why they want to capture her?" Lin, he said as he kicked open a door in the house. There was an entrance to the basement. Lin, he smiled bitterly. He was overthinking things, thinking that the basement would be hidden. He didn't expect it to be right in front of him. But thinking about the skills of Cyclops and the others, Lin, he understood. Chapter 472. The hideout of a criminal organization. But I think they said something like they were going to give us their kidneys, something about cutting out Fun and Mi's organs and making us suffer together. Xiaobo said with a shake of his head. "Oh." Lin paused. "Kidney? Organs? Could this be the hideout of the organ trafficking organization? It couldn't be that coincidental, could it?" Thinking back to what Lingshan had told him, that the organization targeted beggars, homeless people, and the disabled, Lin Yi realized that Xiaobo was a disabled person. Wasn't she? The people in the slums weren't rich, either. It was possible that they'd be targeted by the organ trafficking organization. Lin Yi kicked the door open, but Kong Xiaobo rushed in first. Lin Yi shook his head. Kong Xiaobo was too impatient, and he didn't know if there were more people in the basement. But Lin Yi's jade didn't warn him, so Lin Yi didn't stop him. "Xiaobo." Fun wasn't expecting Kong Xiaobo to show up here. How did you get here?" Fun's first thought was that Kong Xiaobo had been captured as well, but thinking about it, the door was kicked open. Could it be that Kong Xiaobo was here to save her? But there were 4 bulky men guarding here, so how did Kong Xiaobo get here? Fun raised her head and saw Lin Yi's silhouette at the door. She immediately understood that Kong Xiaobo must have gotten here with Lin Yi's help. But Fun was very touched. Although there was Lin Yi's help, Kong Xiaobo risked his life to save her, and that was enough to make her happy. To have a man who loved and cared for her like this, Fun felt that she wouldn't have any regrets in this life. "Haha, I saw you get captured, so I took a taxi and chased after you and called Boss." Kong Xiaobo scratched his head, embarrassed. If Boss didn't show up in time, I might have been locked up as well. "Boss, thank you." Fun called Lin Yi Boss, just like Kong Xiaobo. She was filled with gratitude towards Lin Yi. Lin Yi waved his hand casually. He had already acknowledged Kong Xiaobo as his follower, and Lin Yi wouldn't complain no matter how much he helped him. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was thinking about something else. In the basement, Fun wasn't alone. There were 2 other people sitting in the corner, avoiding eye contact. They didn't know who Kong Xiaobo and Lin Yi were, and they didn't dare ask. One of them was a 16 or 17-year-old boy, and, judging from his clothes, he was probably a beggar. The other was a woman in her 30s, also a disabled person. She was dressed very simply, and she was missing 2 arms. If there was only Fun here, Lin Yi would have thought that it was a conspiracy against Fun or Kong Xiaobo. But seeing that there were other people here, and with Kong Xiaobo's word about cutting organs, Lin Yi was certain that this was a stronghold of the organ trafficking organization. Xiao Xiao was a little scared and excited as she carefully followed behind Lin Yi. As far as she was concerned, Lin Yi was a hero who destroyed a criminal organization. Xiao Xiao usually did things that bordered on the law, like fighting, racing, and so on, but in her heart, she admired heroes as well. It was just that she couldn't be a hero, so she looked for excitement in other ways. Now that she saw Lin Yi destroy a criminal organization all by himself, she couldn't be more excited. Lin Yi, is this a criminal organization? Maybe. Lin Yi planned to call Ling Shan and have her take over. Lin Yi wasn't a hero. His only goal here was to save Fun, and the reason why he left one alive was because he wanted to know why these people kidnapped Fun. As for other things, Lin Yi didn't care. As for whether or not he could find the organization behind this, Lin Yi didn't care. At that moment, Kong Xiaobo saw Xiao Xiao following behind Lin Yi. He couldn't help but give Lin Yi a thumbs up. It's only been a few days, and he's already done with Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi saw through Kong Xiaobo's dirty thoughts and glared at him helplessly. My car's too slow, so I drove Xiao Xiao's car. Oh, Kong Xiaobo was a little disappointed. He thought that Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao were already together. Don't move. I'll make a call, Lin Yi said to Kong Xiaobo and Fun before leaving the basement. Lin Yi, on the other hand, called Ling Shan. Ling Shan looked at Lin Yi's call and really wanted to hang up. She was already annoyed enough, and Lin Yi was still bothering her with some small stuff. Hey, what else is there? I already talked to the traffic police. Didn't the cars leave already? Ling Shan roared furiously. She didn't want to pick up the call, but she knew that she couldn't offend Lin Yi too much, but she could at least complain a little, right? She continued, Don't you know that I'm very busy? I haven't slept well for days because of the case. Oh, I found a suspected organ trafficking organization's hideout. Since you're busy, I'm leaving, Lin Yi said and hung up. Why? Ling Shan paused. Suspected organ trafficking organization's hideout? Lin Yi found it. Ling Shan stood up subconsciously. Wait a minute, but she realized that Lin Yi had hung up on her. Ling Shan gritted her teeth in anger, but her heart was thumping with excitement as well. If what Lin Yi said was true, then wouldn't she have all the clues that have been bothering her for a long time? The officers all looked at Ling Shan, confused. They looked at her with questioning eyes, but she didn't explain. I'll go back to my office for a bit. With that, Ling Shan ran back to her office, closed the door, and called Lin Yi back as fast as she could. Huh, I thought you weren't interested. Lin Yi smiled as he picked up the phone. Don't be angry. I'm just excited. I'm not in a good mood. Good man, tell Miss Braindead, where's the hideout? Ling Shan's hair stood on end from her own whining voice, but there was nothing she could do. This Lin Yi could be persuaded but not cowed. She had no choice but to swallow her pride and ask for help from him. Dunmeng Street, Deputy 7th. You better come yourself, drive a big car. Lin Yi said. Chapter 473. The breakup feeling. Shan couldn't help but frown at the scene in the yard. These people are dead. I ran them over, Lin Yi explained faintly. How could you just kill people like that? As a police. Naturally, Ling Shan didn't like what Lin Yi was doing. They had guns. If I didn't run them over, why would I wait for them to shoot me? Lin Yi rolled his eyes. I told you to do it yourself, so you can deal with it. Ling Shan nodded. Lin Yi had a point, and Lin Yi had at least left one of them alive. That made her happy. She quickly made a statement for Fun, the beggar, and the disabled woman before letting them into the police car. She'd be sending them back later. Fun, on the other hand, went with Lin Yi. The backseat of the Audi TT was very small, but Kong Xiaobo and Fin had a squeeze in the back. Lingshan was left to clean up the scene, and Lin Yi left. Actually, even if Lin Yi went to the police station to make a statement, it wouldn't be a big deal. It wasn't just self-defense, but Lin Yi didn't like trouble. It'd be a lot easier if Lingshan took care of it herself, and he'd be able to give the girl some credit. On the way back, Lin Yi slowed down the car since there wasn't anything urgent. Xiao Xiao was a little unhappy. Lin Yi, why are you driving so slow? If you think it's slow, you can drive. Lin Yi said faintly. Then, you drive? Xiao Xiao was a little annoyed. She wanted to see Lin Yi drive again, but that wasn't possible anymore. Tang Yin went back to the classroom and thought about what happened this morning. She thought it was fake, but the more she thought about it, the more worried she got. Did Xiao Xiao really have something to do with Lin Yi? Thinking about Xiao Xiao suddenly transferring to Songshan Songshan and sitting next to Lin Yi, Tang Yin felt a little annoyed. If Xiao Xiao had nothing to do with Lin Yi, why would she bother Lin Yi every day? She clearly knew that Lin Yi's girlfriend was her, but she still dared to say those words to Lin Yi in front of her. Could it be that what she said in the morning was true? Otherwise, why would a girl sully her own reputation by saying that she had a relationship with Lin Yi and might be pregnant? Let Lin Yi take her to the hospital for a checkup? Tang Yin thought that even if she had that kind of relationship with Lin Yi, she couldn't just let everyone know, could she? Unless she was threatened by external factors and was in a hurry to announce her relationship with Lin Yi, then she would throw caution to the wind. Was Xiao Xiao's situation the same way? If it weren't for her relationship with Lin Yi, she wouldn't have said these things, would she? Since she was shameless enough to say these things, did it mean that there was something going on between her and Lin Yi? Tang Yun's mind was a mess, filled with the scene from this morning. She didn't want to believe that Lin Yi would fall in love with someone else, but Xiao Xiao's words hinted that Lin Yi didn't fall in love with someone else. He was with Xiao Xiao first, and then with her. Otherwise, Tang Yin wouldn't believe that Xiao Xiao would fall in love with Lin Yi just a few days after transferring, and even have that kind of relationship with him. The only possibility was that Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao knew each other from before. Thinking back to the time when she asked Lin Yi about their relationship, and Lin Yi only said that Xiao Xiao had seen him drive before and wanted to learn from him, Tang Yun's frown deepened. Learning to drive? Just learning to drive? Why did she have to go through so much trouble to be in the same class as Lin Yi? Tang Yin took out her phone and looked at it. There were no missed calls, no messages. Why wasn't Lin Yi looking for her? Just like that, Tang Yin endured until the end of the first period and still didn't get a call from Lin Yi, nor did she get a message from Lin Yi. She waited in the classroom for a long time, but Lin Yi still didn't come looking for her. When they separated in the morning, Tang Yin told Lin Yi that he would look for her after the first period. But even when the bell rang, Lin Yi wasn't there. Tang Yun's mind was a mess. Could it be that what happened this morning was real? Tang Yun was regretting it. If she had known this would happen, she would have ignored her pride and continued to see what Xiao Xiao had to say. However, at that time, he couldn't let go of his pride, so he left first. In the second period, Tang Yun didn't even react to the teacher's question, and she didn't know how she got through it. After class, Tang Yun couldn't take it anymore. How could Lin Yi do this? Even if he had something to do with Xiao Xiao, shouldn't he at least give her an explanation? He didn't even say anything. What did he think she was? Tang Yin was a little pissed off, but she gathered her courage and went to Lin Yi's classroom. She pulled a classmate over and asked him to call Lin Yi out for her. Tang Yin wanted to ask Lin Yi face to face. What did he mean by this? The whole school knew about Lin Yi and Tang Yin, so no one thought it was strange for Tang Yin to come looking for Lin Yi. The classmate looked around the classroom and said, "Lin Yi isn't here." Oh, Tang Yin paused, not sure why, but she asked again, "Then is Xiao Xiao here?" The student looked around and shook his head at Tang Yun. "Feng Xiao Xiao isn't here either." "Oh, thank you." Tang Yun's eyes were sore, and she wanted to cry. Lin Yi wasn't here, and Xiao Xiao wasn't here either. How could these two not be here at the same time? Could it be that they really went out together? Tang Yun stumbled at the thought of this possibility, almost falling to the ground. She quickly grabbed the wall to steady herself. She didn't think that there was something going on between Lin, Yi, and Xiao Xiao, but now she was even more suspicious. She thought back to what Xiao Xiao said to her this morning. Didn't Lin Yi give you a breakup fee? I've known Lin Yi for a long time, and I wanted to make you a mistress out of pity, sharing Lin Yi with you, but you didn't know what was good for you, so I had to let Lin Yi be with you for nothing. Tang Yun felt wronged. Wait, breakup fee? Tang Yun suddenly remembered that Lin Yi seemed to have given her mother something this morning. Could it be the breakup fee Xiao Xiao was talking about? Tang Yun called her mother's number and took a deep breath, pretending to be calm. Mom, where are you? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.